Listen, babe. Oh, yeah. It's alright, alright, alright. 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 It's alright, alright, alright. Listen, babe. Oh, yeah. 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 It's alright,
Hey, welcome back. Thank you. Another fun week planned for everybody. We plan on covering a lot of good material today.
Yeah.
As last week, we're looking for the people in-house as well as you online and your participation to make the class better. The class is not designed to dictate a particular truth to you, but it's designed to serve you. So in serving you, that means what we want to be able to do is be able to sit with you and hear the conversation. Are we okay on sound, guys? Yeah. Okay. So, just want to make sure that we're showing up to you and solving what you need and hitting your needs. Let me make an announcement for this week. And Tennille will send out a message. Next week, we won't be here because we got snatched away by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. There's a big event in Tulsa, Oklahoma at Black Wall Street, and they're inviting all the Black organizations that are working on developing Black entrepreneurs. No, go ahead and get your sandwich. Okay. We're inviting any organization. They're inviting all the Black organizations that are working on developing Black entrepreneurs to a central location to discuss tactics and strategies on how to grow more Black entrepreneurs across the nation. And so Court, I, and Tennille are going to fly out there and meet with the individuals who are doing it around the country. And I really wanted to go because I want to get a feel for like what's happening, what folks are doing, where we are in the game, see if anybody's actually taking or addressing the mental challenge. I have a sneaky suspicion that a lot of this conversation around Black economics and Black growth is not taking accountability who we are and what we've been through. A lot of it's this idea of you just give them money, we should be good. Or if they just have access to A, B, and C, they're going to be good. And I don't think that, really it's really somebody looking upon our problem and then offering a suggestion to our problem. What I'm not seeing and what I'm not sensing is individuals actually like diving into our problems. Like they, for example, okay, let me explain where I'm going with this. Schools in the black community are not working. They're just not working. They haven't been working for quite some time. Quite often schools don't teach how and why. They just teach you what, right? And they're copy and pasting this what, assuming that if I teach you this born version of math, this born version of science, this born version of history, I'll teach you about this history of all these arrogant, narcissistic kings who had all this money and oppressed people, but somehow they were able to dodge all their moral responsibilities, that somehow you're going to come through this and be able to compete in a world of brilliant people in a competitive race. There's this statistics that says that the white male is 2 times behind the Asian community, Chinese community, I think Korean community, and I think they're as far as education level, and they're 1 level behind, I think, the Canadian community. And black people are 2 levels behind that. So I get this sneaky suspicion that what they're doing is projecting, saying, oh, this is what's good for me, so I'm suggesting this is what's good for you. What I'm not seeing is a critical dive into the psychological impact and trauma and the cultural shifts that derive from slavery and Jim Crowism. And so when you talk about solving economic challenges for African Americans, it's close to impossible if we leave out the conversation of what we've been through and how our culture has shaped itself in survival mode in response to a cultural challenge. In addition to that, America runs this huge branding campaign that almost every historical movie you see about black folks, it suggests that we have to ask white folks to go to the next level. That's branding. That's not true, but that's great branding. So that has a psychological impact upon us that's impacting our ability to soar at the highest level of our performance. and then, like I say, you add the poor education. So the reason we built this class is because we started to see these patterns that were beyond just the typical, the problem is that we don't have enough money. African Americans we have a community that produces 1.1 trillion a year, but we don't even know how to tap that well. We have no idea how to tap that well. Matter of fact, I would almost say that a lot of times we repeat the same old solutions as opposed to being innovative, all the possible opportunities that exist around us. And so what we're hoping to see is there anybody else looking at this as opposed to thinking that we're going to ignore the psychological state of the black community? And is anybody looking at this and say, hey, it's more than just they need money? If that's the case, then lottery winners would stay wealthy. And everybody knows lottery winners do not stay wealthy. And there's a certain mindset that comes from the growth of building and creating. So that hardship you usually go through, the hardest part about our evolution when we're coming up economically is the pain of change, right? So when you're evolving and you're growing economically, there's a pain associated with that growth, right? But that pain is because we're changing who we are. A lot of things that we're comfortable with, a lot of things that we hang our hat on, a lot of things we see as facts. As we go through the transformation of being institutionalized and having a job, I don't care how well you can paid at a job, to actually building your own version of that business, there's so many things you're gonna have to take on responsibility and change the way you process and think. Well, in that process, it qualifies you to become wealthy. It qualifies you to be responsible with your wealth. But we cannot be responsible if you just go from having no money to somebody giving you money and then expecting you to perform. It just doesn't translate that well. Or you go straight from a job, as many of the students in this class, and a lot of people online and people I was talking to earlier today, a lot of people in this class have went from being employed to running their own business. And they spend about 1 or 2 hours discussing the transition period. what the feelings and what it feels like, and how this worked in my job, but it doesn't work out here, and how this form of communication works out here, but it doesn't work here. And so that transition is such a uncomfortable transition because you're changing your relationship to reality. And so we don't see enough of that conversation happening in the market. And so what me and Court are hoping to see is there some others who are doing the work? Can we have smart collaborations so we can make ourselves all more robust in our collaborations? And then also, can we cross network? Because if you're doing this kind of work, then we're creating also integrity that goes along with business ownership. So we're not just teaching people to chase money and have muddy relationship to your morality, but we're showing people that, look, you're not going to live forever. So what is this all for? If you're here to be successful, why are you trying to be successful? And where are you going with this? Because you do it so you have to pass away. So if you're just thinking that through accumulation it's going to make your life better, then you kind of distorted on your trajectory as a human being. And so, so when you get people who understand that wealth should be a social responsible act, then it breeds a level of integrity that allows good people to come together and produce solutions beyond their imagination. You guys get that? So next week we're just going to be shut down. This is a rare time we've ever done this because I don't think anybody ever knows we don't shut down in the middle of the week. One of us will be here, or hey, I might have my cousin Pookie come up here and speak, and he won't be talking about no entrepreneurship, but at least he's gonna talk to you, right? Y'all might have to give him some money by the time it's all over, or he won't tell you some dreams, but that's how the game works. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, this is for the enhancement of what we're trying to do here, and it's also to extend our reach so we have partners in the game, because at the end of the day, no one completely owns the solution to Black people's challenges. But what we want to be able to do is always be in a position that we want to be in a position that we are all. Wait, first of all, guys, we having a sound problem? Huh? Are we having a sound problem? The XR cable's not working? He says the buzz? Okay, I'll check the buzz in a second. Court, just finish the introduction a second, and then I'm gonna go check the sound real quick.
Yep. So first, I want to acknowledge the fact that there's a Warriors game tonight, and y'all here. I want to acknowledge that. So, that's a testimony to how serious we are about getting it and about improving and growing and enhancing. We still want our team to do what it does, but we're here. I also want to remind us what the intentions were this first 6 months and what's going to happen the next 6 months. So the first 6 months was the inner work, right? The first 6 months was the inner work, because there's no output that you can have that you want without what's on the inside, without the input. So all this emotional shit and all of the emotional agility and the books that we read earlier this first year, what this was doing was preparing you for the outer work. We talked a little bit of strategy, a little bit of tools in terms of how we can get some quick improvements and quick tweaks to your business throughout this first half of the year, but most of the work was the inner work. All inner work. And if you've done the inner work, then the benefits of your business is going to start to show if it hasn't already. I guarantee you. If you haven't started making more money, you will if you've done the inner work. Because just the simple fact in how you engage with your customers and your mindset towards your customers is going to be different. It's going to be different. And that's going to have butterfly effects. So this next 6 months is more deeper strategy, getting deeper into the strategy and how you think in terms of. So the first 6 months, how you feel, managing, controlling how you feel. And this next 6 months is how you think in reference to entrepreneurship. So going through this class, I got juice, because this is going to be a dope-ass class, an exciting class, a class filled with a lot of game, a lot of nuances. So if you ain't got your notes together, let's get it. And at the end of this class, I'm sure you'll find that it's going to be nuggets in here that you can apply immediately in your business.
They have to adjust my sound real quick, or just change my cord out. So one, we just go to slide number 2 and
All right.
and 1, and that way you can get started. You can go start rolling. So first slide, go to slide number 2.
Okay, are we there? Slide number 2. So, how's your GPS? So, this is what this means. Have you ever set your GPS to take you to a certain destination? And you mobbing through whatever city, town, highway, or whatever that you're unfamiliar with, trying to get to your destination. And you tripping, you're on the phone or something, and when the lady's talking, if you chose the lady with the English accent, whichever lady you pick, you lose sight of what she's saying and you miss the exit. The question that I have for you is, does the lady say, what the fuck is wrong with you? You missed the exit again. You hella stupid.
Mine does.
You super stupid. Damn. Make a right, I said. Shit. What does that GPS do? It immediately reroutes it. No tripping, no thinking, no complaining, no nothing. It immediately finds a newer solution for you. Boom. Oh, you here now? It figures out where it is. Oh, okay. You here right now? Okay. Make a right and get you back on the road to where you need to be. Now, in business, a lot of our GPS systems, based on how we were raised, on failure, on perfection, on always got to be right, always have to be do things the way we're supposed to do them, general principle, all that kind of shit. How we move is whenever we make a mistake, oh my God. And we spend hella energy tripping on what we did wrong. When there's people who have GPS mentalities who already smoked you, they gonna get there faster. You guys might have the same talent, same skill, same ability, same experience, same everything, but just that one piece alone, they'll get there before you do. Because how much energy do you spend tripping on the last wrong move you made when somebody else immediately is like, oh, wrong. Okay, where am I at? I'm here. Okay, let me get back here. I don't know if you guys ever witnessed the last 2 years of this Hope class at the other building when there's technical. Oh, wait a minute. It just happened.
Yeah, it just happened.
It used to be lots more technical difficulties. How fast does it get addressed? Boom, boom. What does need to be done, done is done. That's how entrepreneurs move. Entrepreneurs move like that. They spend zero energy on the complaining, on the damn, or tripping off the. Listen, now a lot of times we make horrible mates because sometimes your mates want you to just dribble over what you did, dribble over the past, dribble over how sorry you are, go back over it again, talk about it some more. Like, sometimes you're tough. You're not that. You're a tough mate. But an entrepreneur, when you have that mentality, that's what makes you nimble, quick, emotionally agile. Mistakes blow off you. It's nothing. Now, you weren't always like this. As a baby, you were born with that kind of GPS. You were born with that kind of GPS. That behavior, that mentality got drilled into you over time. Imagine if the GPS system you have right now was inside of you before you could walk. And you was crawling and you decided you wanted to take that first step and you tried and you fail. And then you were like, I'm too weak. I can't do it. And your parents laughed you, roasted you, told you that, man, look at you. You ain't strong enough. Imagine if you had carried that mentality. Half of us wouldn't even be walking right now. A lot of y'all entrepreneurial ventures ain't off the ground because of that. So what I'm imploring to you is having that GPS mentality. Next time you're in a GPS, just listen to how fast she reroutes you and gets you back on track. Listen to how fast and just over time start trying to emulate that. It's a simple trick and it's easy to do and it's fun because it's something you engage in all the time, but you're going to need it as an entrepreneur. You're going to need it because time will, the amount of time you need in a day, that 24 hours you need in a day, you're going to need all of it and you don't want to waste none of it. Right.
Hi, my question is, what's the difference between quickly moving on versus working and not even addressing the issue? Like, what if you just, like, I guess, move on quickly, but you haven't really addressed the issue to really figure out what you did wrong, or if you're continuing to make the wrong, like if you keep missing the exit, but you're just supposed to keep driving, but you don't even know what you're supposed to do to fix it. How do you know when to move on or when to actually sit down and say, okay, what happened? How do I improve? Does that make sense?
It does. So that's the where am I at moment, right? Where am I at? Where am I at? And within that where am I at is all right, what can I learn from this? All right, I got to learn to get off my phone while I'm trying to find it. Now, what you're talking about is you on the phone, just getting sidetracked, doing whatever, you missed the exit. Oh shit, I missed the exit. Fuck. All right, she reroutes you, make a left, but you still on the phone. You still on the phone. You didn't fix the behavior that caused you to get lost in the first place. So the moment is, oh man, I'm tripping. Let me get off the phone. All right. Let me put all of my attention on this. So it's not you don't ignore the problem, right? But the exercise is the speed at which you can learn, reroute, and get back on track. Learn, reroute, get back on track. Because as an entrepreneur, we learn this. We're wrong more than 60% of the time, 70% of the time.
Yeah.
We're wrong most of the time.
That's not a fake statistic. That's real.
That's a real statistic.
Yeah, you're in the game of being wrong, not being right.
So as an entrepreneur, you're constantly making mistakes, fucking up all the time. So if you don't have that ability, then you're never going to be able to walk, or you'll never be able to get to your destination because you'll be so caught in the 70. The 30 is where we win. The 30 is where we win. If I'm a baseball player, if I'm 30% of my time I'm getting a hit, I'm going to the Hall of Fame. People trip on the 30. They don't even pay attention to the 70. But you're in a game of failing the majority of the time. 3 times, like 2 out of 3 times you're failing. So in hoop, we worship Steph Curry damn near, but he only makes the shot 4 out of 6 times. He misses 6 out of 10 times. So you get comfortable. Once you get comfortable in the adjustments, guess what? I'm gonna shoot it again. I'm gonna shoot it again. I'm gonna shoot that thing again. So learn how to enjoy that and learn how to keep making those adjustments and getting back on track. You want to go back to yours?
Yeah. Before we go back to my slide real quick, we'll go back to a slide. I want to acknowledge. So there's been individuals who donated to the whole program, and they're just as responsible for us and our growth. And one of the people I'm going to thank hates when I thank her, but I'm going to thank her anyway because she can't beat me up right now. And if she try to catch me later on, you just remember I told you guys that way I already could win my case. But anyway, I want to thank Cassandra for all of her donations that she's given to the Fight Team Media. She's given so many, but she hates me for this because she hates to be spotlighted. And she warned me, don't you ever thank me. So I'm sorry I betrayed you. But hey, Cassandra, you show us so much love. I got to show your love back. There's a young lady by the name of Precious Stroud. Precious has been riding with Fight Team Media for a long time. Precious is a community, I call her a community gangster because she's doing work for our people all the time, all over the place. She's working for black and brown people everywhere you turn. And she's making inroads and having impact. And she's in the school system fighting some of the biggest monsters you've ever seen. So I want to give a lot of respect for her donation. But I want to give a special thanks We had a sister from Chicago, and I'm not going to share her story, but her story it almost made me cry because of stuff she'd been through. And this sister was running her business. But when you talk about, like, you know how you hear the hero stories of black women and like how they persevere and they went through some of the worst shit to the point that when they talk about what they went through, many of us crumbled to our knees. And she sat in this room and she was present and she shared her story, but there was a strength about her that she becomes that grandmother, that mother that everybody romanticizes, dreams of having. And she was like, yo, I'm barely making money right now. And so I look at, I'm not gonna tell you how much she gave us, a large donation. I looked up on the donation came through the screen. Whoa, looked at the name. I said, wait a minute. So I went online and she's opening up a new business. She's grown her business to the point that she's opening a new store, a new restaurant, a larger, nicer restaurant in Chicago. And she gave us a huge donations in addition of her growth. And she rides with us hard. I said she rides with Fight Team Media hard. She's quiet. And she's probably online right now going, come on, bruh. But I just want to tell Kimberly Brown, we appreciate you. We love you. We ride with you 100%. We see you. Thank you for seeing us. Thank you for riding with us.
She might whoop you though. She might whoop you.
Hey,
bro.
hey.
I've met her.
You watch me not challenge you. watch me stay in my place really fast. so I just want to say thank you because, you know, I don't know if you guys know, but like everything that we get, we pour back and invest in this project to have impact. We only have one goal, which is create powerful entrepreneurs. My main goal is create black entrepreneurs because I want my daughter to grow up in a city where she see black businesses that she can go to and be properly served. And since my childhood, I've seen a deterioration of that. Huge deterioration. I'm 54, so I've been around for a long time. You know, I get to say that, bro. You know, I used to say that shit at 30 and be like, oh, here you go. Now I'm 54. I'm saying what the hell I have to say. So, no, to be in a situation where, like, I have a company where I make a lot of money in my company. And then this nonprofit, number one goal is give back. And every time I hear all the success stories we have in Fight Team Media, we have so many success stories to the point, at least once a week I get a success story or financial growth story or impact story that I have to fight tears. And I'm a masculine dude. I don't cry like that. I can count on one hand how many times I've cried in the last 10 years. I just don't. It's not that I want to cry. I don't really have a motivation. I think last time I cried is when my daughter was born and I heard her first cry. I said, oh, here we go. And I said,
when you was here, when your birthday, they hit you on the birthday. The video got you. Yeah, you did.
Man,
you did.
First of all, I don't need none of this. I don't need none of this.
Yeah,
The news dudes don't need to know this. Like, if it's just, to me, if it failed once, it just needs to be once. I'll be adding on the extra numbers. I might ask for all those extra numbers. Anyway, thanks, bro. I really appreciate you. Tell you, sometimes you got to watch who you ride with sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
I thought you might have forgot.
Yeah. Anyway, so I just want to say thank you deeply, Kimberly, because I know what you've been through. I know the sacrifices you make. And for you to care about what we're doing, it was more or less the gesture. I don't care if you gave me $1, 15 cents. I know who she is, and I know what that means, and so I highly value that donation. And I don't want to, this is not the church and pastor. We're not passing no hats, but we appreciate the donations because once again, it directly goes to the community. It does go to. I will not be flossing with this money. This money is not strong enough to make me floss. But I'm here to serve. So with that being said, let me ask a question real quick. So I'm gonna play with this one here for a second. Is it okay? I'm gonna play with this for a second? Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
So mental fallibilities. I'm gonna play with something real quick. How many of you have spanked a child, thought about spanking a child, agreed with a spanking of a child, or even considered spanking a child? How many of you guys? Okay, good. First of all, thanks for the honesty, because some of y'all, y'all be like, oh, he's setting me up. Okay, so there is no setup because I want us to discover together. There's no good or bad here. This is a discovery. I'll let you know what's a good and bad because I'll come for you. Why do you think at the time, if you did or did not believe in it, we don't want to frame it that you do or don't believe in it right now. But at the time that you did believe in it, why did you think it was necessary to spank a child? That's how you was raised? Okay, that's fair, brother.
Tradition.
Tradition, okay. Next one.
Not having other tools in my toolbox.
Not having tools in your toolbox, okay. Anybody else?
I mean, that, like, purely that was the way you corrected bad behavior.
That's probably would everybody agree that's the primary reason you spank a child is to correct bad behavior? So that means we assume and we accept that children have bad behavior. Now, that is evidence in its totality that we don't understand the brain's the natural fallibility of the brain. We have never, I want you guys to think about this. When you went through 1st to 12th grade, how many classes did you take where they taught you about yourself? Is that cold? So you spent 12 years of your education learning about everything in the world but yourself. Like no one taught you how your brain works, what are your limitations, what are the possibilities. And so because of that, guess who have been a victim of that? A lot of times our children. A lot of times ourselves. A lot of times our relationships. A lot of times our business ideas. All of that, a lot of times our community. All that is a victim of not understanding the limits of the brain. One of the biggest distortions about the brain is this. We often think because we control our motor skills, like say you drive a car and you control the motor skills time and time again, you think you actually control your brain. You don't. You sit down, what are you talking about? Your brain is one of your organs right now. Who's pumping your blood? You thought about that today? Did you remember to breathe today, or did you forget to breathe? Or did it just happen automatically? Some of you guys probably caught a virus or a bacteria in your body. Which one of you guys remember the coding that you ran to stop that virus, that bacteria? In addition to that, your subconscious brain is downloading belief systems and distortions without your conscious awareness. Your subconscious mind right now is learning without you having any rational relationship to the process. Let me say this again. Your subconscious mind is learning right now without you having any relationship to the process. Let me add another layer to you. The environment is the invisible hand that's controlling your subconscious. The environment you're in is the invisible hand controlling your subconscious. So let me share another fact with you. So there's a whole portion of your brain that has one goal. It's to survive. Either whether you be stupid and survive, then you be smart and dead. It says again, your brain, whether you be stupid and survive, then be smart and dead. Your brain don't give a shit about you being smart. It has one goal and one goal only. How do I keep that body running? Intelligence is a cost to your brain. You have to use resources to gain intelligence. Your brain takes on intelligence that helps it survive naturally. But any intelligence you need for progress and success, that's not what your brain's designed for. It's a foreign act to your brain. Here's another fact, because I'm going to bring all this together in 1 second. Your brain consumes majority of your resources. In order for you to burn 3,000 calories, you would probably have to run for about 4 to 5 hours. In order for you to burn 3,000 calories in the gym, you probably have to be there for about 4 or 5 hours. Not that GQ training, not on your cell phone, not doing selfies, not having dialogue about what's going on in your household and get a set in every once in a while. But I'm talking about intense, superset, don't stop, let's keep this going. But a chess player plays one game, a intense game of chess, and burns 3,000 calories. I want you to see the difference of your brain is a high consumer of energy. Now, with that being said, the brain is one of the dominant consuming, one of the dominant organs that has the highest consumptions in your body. So it came to me the other night. I woke up. No, I didn't mean to wake up. I was so mad because I needed some sleep, and I had to go to this meeting in San Francisco, and because I'm working on a strategy with doctors from San Francisco General on how to save this hospital called Honda Hospital, but it's a hospital for mental health. But it's like it houses 650 patients, and it's 65 acres large. It's huge, and we're working on changing the internal branding, which is changing the belief system so they don't make the same mistakes, or bringing awareness, improve their service, and then raising the visibility and value of the hospital so they can continue to receive federal money, and to change the conversations so they can attract a different kind of employee to sustain growth in its new direction. So Fight to Me is being hired to consume all of that. So the day that I'm supposed to attend this deep meeting where everybody across the table from me are going to be doctors. So they're going to be asking questions that are more tactical, all right? And so I have to show up in a certain capacity. But at 6 hours into my sleep, I wake up with this idea. And I realize that, I'm reading, in Fight Team Media, we have to study a lot of behavior science books, a lot of neuroscience books, of course, business strategy books. And there's a common theme and a common thread that I don't think we've ever articulated well in this class. Have you ever noticed that everywhere you go, somebody's talking about physical health, how to maintain your body, how to improve your performance, how to protect your health? How come we don't ever subscribe how to train mental health? I want you guys to understand this. You need to use your brain to perform at the highest level of competition. Competition means that whatever you build, somebody's coming for you. Whatever you build, you will be challenged. Whatever you build, you're going to meet other people that's going to be competing against you. In business, you have to make intense levels of decision, and you have to be in a position where you're always thinking. You don't get a chance to run on autopilot. You have to always be in a thinking mode. Yet no one discusses how to train mental health. It's funny, we don't exercise, we don't eat right, we don't drink enough water, we don't get enough sleep. We don't maintain a proper level of oxygen to our body. We live in stressful environments with stressful noise. And we pour into our brain a lot of distortions. And then we wonder why we can't compete. You know what you sound like? Somebody who don't sleep well, don't eat well, goes to McDonald's every day, eats sugar all day long, and wonder why he can't compete in the NBA. The mental health aspect of maintaining the brain, and we're going to get into this, is that, so one of the major nutritions the brain needs is it needs distortion correction. So what is this distortion correction? We're going to get into mental distortions probably in the middle of July. Things that we believe in that are actually a distortion from reality that causes our brain to burn unnecessary resources to put us in a position that we can't compete. In our culture, in the social justice movement, on television, is full of mental distortions. Mental distortions have been popularized in hip-hop culture, but if you want to perform at the highest level, you have to constantly work to free your brain from the distortions. For example, I'll give you one distortion. Let's say you believe this distortion, all or nothing, meaning that if I don't achieve this, then there's no value here for me. Or either you're this or you're that. What you don't realize that when you think like that, you create a mental hardship that comes back upon you and causes a all or nothing relationship with yourself. You say, no, what do you mean? Let's say today you're kind of happy, you're kind of bad. But you walk into the room and everybody's focusing on the bad. You will forget all of the happy because you will overvalue the bad and you will find yourself winding yourself into a depression. Because when you underserve the brain, the thing that's waiting for you on the other end, depression, anxiety, and other mental health disorders. But because we don't practice mental health exercises, we're setting ourselves up for natural deterioration. It's funny, the brain is so powerful, the brain can heal you, the brain can kill you. The brain can actually prevent death for a short period of time. It's already proven, there's already been scientific studies that if you are ready, your body is ready to die, but you want to live for a certain reason, your brain has the ability to stall death for weeks to months for your own survival. This is the real truth. Your brain has a placebo effect. It has the ability to heal you from viruses and diseases and even cancer in itself. The brain has the ability to disconnect from reality in total, to the point that you don't even know you're here no more. You can become totally schizophrenic. The brain is such a powerful tool that if it's under-nurtured, it would actually eventually betray you. It is proven that if you have enough mental distortions, you can't even maintain relationships with other people. I would argue that today when we see these young children who are committing suicide, falling into depression, and all other type of mental disorders, it's because we're not having a discussion around how to train mental health. So when we start this class beginning of the year, we say, hey, make sure you're exercising. Make sure you're getting some sleep. Let's pay attention to your diet. Do you realize that I think it's over, I want to say it's close to half, but over a quarter of African Americans are undernutrition even though they eat every day? Because they're not getting the proper nutrients the brain needs to perform. Do you realize that low iron is a form of ADHD? You can't focus? Like there's a situation happening around us. We are literally in a mental, a deterioration of mental health happening around us. And we don't even know that's a language. And the reason we don't know this a language, because when a child is born, a child doesn't have the mental capacity to be bad. It's not possible. So what are you correcting? What are you correcting in a child? If you understood the way the brain is evolving, you would know it's not possible. So when you spank the child, you're actually removing pruning its development. You're pruning its development. The brain has the ability to prune and say, I don't need this. There's no purpose of this. Don't even use that. Don't even grow that part of your brain. Instead of us stimulating growth and maximizing growth in our children, we don't even know that's a relation. We don't even know that's a thing. We're really babysitting and controlling and forcing our children to conform than trying to figure out how to grow and expand. In school, watch how cold this is. School and most parents don't encourage exploration, creativity, and innovation. They encourage conformity. So you wonder why we're doing the same thing over and over and over and over again? Where's that? Like, for example, when a child is in a position where he's like, Mommy, why is this? Mommy, why is that? Mommy, why is this? Some of y'all ego get hurt because you feel like, oh, I don't know. Why you ask me all these questions? What you're really saying is, I don't know and I'm irritated. It's called Google. It's called library. It's called pull your goddamn ego out the way and say it's okay not to fucking know. Because guess what? Here's the coldest game that's ever been sold to us. There's nobody that's hella smart. Knowledge is so vast. The more you learn, the more you realize what you don't know. Let me give you another layer game. I got this from Carl Sagan. He said, knowledge is confidence and ignorance has none. Ignorance has confidence and knowledge has none. Mm-hmm. Ignorant people are extremely confident. This is what it is. It's always, well, it's going to be this way. I know what I'm saying. Sign of ignorance. Knowledge is like, hey, from what I know at this point, because what you realize is when you're in a mode of always growing and changing and evolving, you're finding you're wrong every day. And after a while, you realize I'm going to stop just standing on anything. It's hard to argue when you're in a rhythm of trying to grasp and gain knowledge. Knowledge is so vast. Many of us have been victims of somebody saying, I am superior in intelligence than you, when there is nothing like this. This is a cold, political, sometimes racist game. Knowledge is so vast. So once you realize knowledge is vast, your child asks you questions, of course you ain't gonna be able to answer all of them. They're not within your circle of genius. So this is when you stop and say, okay, baby, let's look it up together. Let's figure this out together. But in the end, you're trying to protect your sensitive ego because you've been challenged by your child. Who are you to challenge me? Don't be asking me that dumb, stupid ass shit. Go to school. Look it up. Right? And so this is a powerful message here. So the brain has all these fallible points. And because of our distortion of our fallibility, we expect too much from the brain. And because you expect too much from the brain, when it doesn't show up, you think something's wrong with you. No, there's nothing wrong with you. If you didn't do good in school, it's because you didn't have time to practice. And then sometimes they taught it poorly. School really should start from what is relevant to you and then through gaining your interest, drive you towards the complexity of it. And then you gain the complexity. What school has to do is they have to go to the complexity, which at this point, I don't know what the fuck and why I'm learning all this complex math that is tied to nothing. And then somehow later on they go, oh, by the way, this is how it helps you solve this problem. You already lost me. I already cut class too many times. I'm only gonna get an F. I'm not coming back. So the reality is that all the stuff, there's so much around us that instead of us feeling bad about where we are and where we stand, a lot of times these schools require some of our innovation to change the infrastructure, how we show up, that makes education exciting again. Create the zeal. One thing we learned in this class, and I'm sure he can speak about this, is we've had so many people join this class who told me I didn't like to read at all. And now that I've been in this class, I can't believe how much I read now. Because why? It's not because we hypnotize you with our swag, you understand? Because it could happen though, but that's not where I'm going. But it's not that we hypnotize you with our swag. What actually happened was we found out, we tapped into what you wanted to learn. And as you started to answer your own questions, you created your own internal motivation that we align with. It's not about us, it's about you. That's why in this class we serve you, we don't serve ourselves, because we'll lose you. Once we start thinking, oh, this is what's best for you, this is where we're going to take you, and you don't want to go there, we're going to have a problem, right? And so when you understand that the brain has this functionality that you don't control but does control you, and you realize that you're not practicing any type of mental health, mental sustainability, mental stability, anything in that context, then you realize that you're going into the game out of shape. You're literally performing in this game out of shape. Then here's the most fucked up part. Social justice comes along and tells you to blame somebody else. Mm-hmm. You know goddamn well you ain't performing, but you mad at white folks about gentrification. I want y'all to stay with that for a second. You can't take what you own. So we didn't perform. They caught me slipping. That means that's a canary in the cage so to perform. Because even if they took this neighborhood, America's hella big. Go get another neighborhood. If you really lock down the shit you got right now. Lock it down. Build structures and systems that support the relationships you have in the community so that community can prosper. But if you just go to work every day and somebody else is managing the city, then you're not stable. Right? So it tells us Black Lives Matter, which we're going to ask white people that we matter. You don't know you matter? You don't know that your children back home need your attention? So you're too busy asking white people to accept you? I want y'all to think about that for a few seconds. We got work to do. Yeah. But instead of you realizing, oh, damn, I haven't learned about mental health and I need to train my brain to perform and I need to grow my performance, it's okay, I'm underperforming. Nobody in this room is flawed. Wherever you are in the game is okay. But if you want to see change, it's work. It's not you just wake up tomorrow like, we deserve change and then go home. We vote for change and go home. No. Change is you changing your brain going, this is something I want to work on that you find of interest. I don't give a shit if you bring a revolution to sewing. I don't give a shit what level that is. Nobody's asking everybody to come in this room and be Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. I don't give a shit if you just want to show up in a way that impacts young people that come across your path, or you just hire some black people that you give a chance to inspire to be greater and be better. Or you volunteer every once in a while, or as you grow your wealth, you invest in solutions in your community. I don't care how that shows up. But you have to understand that you are underperforming because you're not training this here. Hard work, without this being, look, the slave worked hard. Ask them where they got them. I think I was reading Frederick Douglass' piece. I started going back. The guy who influenced me to study an hour and a half a day, years and years ago. I went over to his house. He loves all these old books, so he got me into old books. And one of the things Frederick Douglass talked about during slavery was this: that when he was a young kid, he realized the slave master needed us to be ignorant, have poor rationalization, have muddy morality, and believe in these principles and ideas that would keep us in slavery. And when Frederick Douglass said that, he discovered that the path to freedom was knowledge. Because knowledge inspires you to do something different and become something different. No one holds the limit on your possibilities. Nobody holds the limits on your That's a cold branding lie that's been sold to you over and over. White folks don't own your limitations. You own your limitations. But the reason you find yourself running up against your own self is because you're not training your brain to perform. It's like you saying you watching a whole bunch of runners run past you one day and they sprint and you're like, I ain't gonna never be a sprinter. Yeah, because you sit on the couch and eat cookies all day. I don't know what the fuck you think. If you want to be a sprinter, all you have to do is start first work on your eating habits, your habits as a whole, and start training for it. And it might not happen right away, but the next 5 years, you might be out there running with them and may lose and be last. But the next 10 years, you may actually win. That's the same thing about this entrepreneurship. That's the same thing. And so you're getting into a game where I don't care about your physical body. Mm-hmm. Ain't nobody, like the reason we train our physical body because our ego's involved. Right, that's our incentives. I want to look good for the summer. I'm trying to find me a mate. I'm trying to get in this outfit. So that's the incentive, right? But no one taught us that, if you're trying to grow, then you have to get into mental training.
Yeah.
And if you neglect mental training, you're no different than the person who gets out there with the sprinters every day and refuses to train. You are the joke in the room. Stop blaming the other people for that run fast. Oh, the rich people, they run too fast. I can't believe they don't hit 9.6 seconds. That's a disrespect to me. I run 14 seconds, and I think I should be acknowledged for that. No, you shouldn't. Shut your ass up and train. Mm-hmm. You're in the game. This game is cold. Entrepreneurs are not designed. This is not a social justice movement where everybody matters. Now, they may matter as employees. They may matter as team members. They may matter as customers. But if you want to be the leader of the company, you have to perform at a higher level. Higher level. And so I'm sorry if I tap into some sensitivity online at home or in the room. But as you grow, you're not becoming anti-fragile as his relationship to other human beings. So you're trying to become more anti-fragile against people. You're becoming anti-fragile against challenges and problems that you may face, including people. And if you're not training your brain, if you're breaking down all the time, if you're always jumping in and out of depression, if you're feeling anxiety everywhere you go, if you have a mental fog, if you can't think straight, if you can't control your emotions, train. Train your mind. And when you first train, the first time you go to the gym, don't think because you went to the gym and you had a good workout, you got different muscles. You just had a good workout. It's time through compounding, you develop a different mind. So the first book you read, you ain't no different. You just had a good workout. The first week and month you train, hey man, you just got a little bit more oxygen, a little slight change. But the more you stay with it, You look at somebody who's training intense, the more they stay with it, 2 or 3 years from now, you're like, whoa, look at you. 10 years from now, you're like, oh, okay, you take this serious. Mental's the exact same thing.
Hey, I had a just a double team point. I saw an old friend at the gym last night. I ain't seen him in 10, 15 years. So we catching up, whatever. And we're talking about workout and nutrition. So he's telling me what he's on. He's on keto, right? So he went and broke down keto to me in a way I've never heard it. Most articulate, detailed, oriented way you can break down keto. But the whole time I'm looking at him up and like looking at his body. And I'm like, damn, so then I'm like, so does keto work? And so he was like, yeah, no, it works. And he's trying to sell me on the fact that it works outside of it working on him. So when you said the path of freedom is knowledge, that would make me think of that, because if you get on a path, does the path move you? Does it it's like an escalator where once you get on it, it just moves you to the destination?
Come on.
It's just a path. You got to do the work. You got to do the shit. Because it's true, the path to freedom is knowledge, but knowledge alone without movement, without doing anything with it, is just knowledge. And I think that's what has us stuck as black folks. We got hella experts. We got hell of people in our culture who can beautifully articulate stuff to make you like, damn, they got it, or they know what they're talking about, or they're expert, or they're wealthy, or they're rich, because we don't have the access to look at their bank account or to see how happy they are in their relationships or any of that. We just take it for the face value that the brain does when we evaluate something. Do they look like they got money? Do they sound like they got money? Do they look successful? It checks out, so I'm going to listen. Versus like, well, he had a Rolex on, so I assumed he had bread. So I listened. Versus the truth of like, let's check his bank account out, see how wealthy he is. But so I just want to jump on that about the path. Like, the path is still, it ain't going nowhere. You got to move through the path.
And then real quick, before you jump in, let me just, 2 things. One is that, do you guys know police sirens, loud noise, fireworks, or the sense of violence steals nutrients from your brain? Because every time your brain hears anything that unconsciously says it's a possible threat, your brain burns so much energy. So if you go against a white dude who has a quiet neighborhood, against a black dude, now mind you, y'all both can be equally intelligent. But let's say a white dude lives in a quiet neighborhood and you live in a neighborhood where you hear sideshows to gunshots to sirens and everything. You're gonna automatically be running malnutrition against that white boy. Now, mind you, it's not a demonization of the white person, but just I'm playing on the polarization of this country. You can't compete if your environment is hostile, because your brain is burning resources just to deal with that. When you get into mental nutrition and mental health, you realize you need a lot. Do you realize you need a large vocabulary to maximize the performance of the brain? Because if you don't have a large vocabulary, you'll become victim of your limited words. You say, well, what do you mean? If the only word you have for a group of negative feelings is angry, then everything will equal anger. So me tapping your shoulder and me hitting your car and me stealing from you and me lying to you will have the same equal response. You got to learn to develop a broader language to describe your different emotions. Otherwise, you're burning the same level of energy for every incident that happens in your life. Like literally, this game is so cold about mental health that it's not about just, oh, I'm cool, I go to a counselor and psychologist. Because I'm going to give you so much game and so much insight of how to maintain your brain so it doesn't get away from you. Because once the brain gets away from you, it can become compulsive and start to do things so far on its own to the point that you can lose your sense of reality. If you're not constantly working on the brain. The brain is not meant to just idle until you die. It's just that we've been neglecting it our whole life because in our culture, no one talks to us about our own damn brain. The most important part, the part that's driving most of the behavior on your body. The thing that's dictating your reality. Do you realize that everybody in this room has a different reality? Your brain does not see reality equally. Everybody in this room have a different interpretation because your belief alters your perception of what you read. Let me give you another cold thought. Here's a mental distortion that happens in your brain. You think problem, emotion. I wish a motherfucker would. I'm going to go off. You're missing one part of the equation. Problem, thought, emotion. If you change that thought, you'll change your emotional outcome. The reason you keep having the same emotional response, because you're not paying attention to the thought that happened between the problem and the emotion. This is so powerful that you're burning so many resources, getting angry over the same old shit, because you don't realize that between the problem and the emotion is a thought. This is why a lot of times when people talk to me and you see me disconnect, because I hear the thought that you're not sharing with me, that you're not aware of, and I realize I'm not embracing that thought, so I'm not about to sit here and share this emotion with you. So I'm gonna let you have your emotion respectfully. I ain't gonna say shit, but I'm out. And then if you start to push it on me, my famous word is, fuck your emotions. If you know me personally, if you don't know me personally, I might be like, yo, I'm out. But if you're close to me, am I lying? Fuck your emotions. I can't do this. Because now you're trying to hijack my time with a false thought. But most of us just think it's problem, then I'm going to have an emotion. My husband came in, made me mad, I had emotion. No, it's your thought of why did that make you mad and why was that worth that response? And what does that mean to you and what do you think that means to you when he or she does that? Problem, emotion. Then let me tap this game and open question. You said earlier, I want to tap in something he just said earlier. Sadhguru is this guru from India that every once in a while I stop and listen to some of his material because I love to hear men from the mystical world that are well trained share their ideas because there's a depth of wisdom there that sometimes you don't hear from the highly rational world or the scientific thinking world, right? They both have their value, and so I show up to them at different times. And so this night I was looking for a certain piece I wanted to assign as a homework piece for how we should see good people versus bad people, and that's a horrible idea. Stop calling some people bad and some people good. And I wanted us to remove the idea that someone's always good and someone's always bad. If you do a bad thing, don't mean you're a bad person. Don't you do a good thing, don't mean you're a good person. And that's something that's a state of being in the moment. That's a act of the moment, not a state of being. It's a separation. But I was listening to Sadhguru, and this shit was so cold, and I wanted to preface it because sometimes I don't post stuff like this. I don't want folks to think that I'm trying to tap your religion. I want to respect all your religious differences. I never want to say that this idea, I don't want to ever suggest because I said something that I'm suggesting this is a better religious idea. But Sadhguru said this guy, this Buddhist monk was in the audience. He said, Sada, I want to ask you a question, and no other guru has ever been able to answer this question. And it had something to do with reincarnation. So Sada went into actual physics and biology accurately. It was like, I was blown away. I'm like, yo, here's a mystic that understands science and respects it. So he's laying out the scientific description. He answers this guy questions very scientifically. Then he stops and says, but you should never ask that question again. He said, because the only reason you asked that question is because you wanted to show that you were smarter than Sada. He goes, because at the end of the day, the answer to this question meant nothing to you and had no value to you. You had all the opportunities to ask me a question about your personal life and how to make your life better. But you chose to ask me this question way over here that had zero value to you. In the end, all you want to do is go home and say, yeah, I asked Sada a question. He could not answer. Look at me raise my value and my status because my ego or my narcissism has gone wild. But you didn't ask a question of, hey, how do I deal with my children? How do I deal with my economic crisis? How do I deal with my neighborhood? Well, let me extend what Sada just said there. A lot of people talk about things that are so vast it has nothing to do with their reality. A lot of these people who are manipulating people, they manipulate you because they don't tell you how to solve your problem. They tell you about what's going on with the White House, what's going on in the 1600s, 1800s, 1900s, what happened over here in the secret society, what happened over here with this group over here. That is all irrelevant information to you. I knew one dude, they say, my partner said he has a partner, and every time some major crisis happened, like in Buffalo, this cat be ready to jump on a plane and go out there for a minute and come on back. He ready to go, then he jump on a plane or something happened in Texas and came on back. But his finances is messed up. His relationship with his kids are messed up. The community he comes from is messed up. If you are that goddamn good, then take that skill and fix your own neighborhood. What I'm explaining is that stop studying all these things stop having conversations about politics that don't have anything to do with you. Stop worrying about what's happening in Russia and what's happening in Afghanistan. You ain't figured out what's happening in East Oakland on 65th Avenue. Like, you guys gonna go with this? Like, it's a form of escapism for you. And this is why you get manipulated and pimped and played all the time, because you don't really own what's happening in 1700s, 1800s, what happened in this great, in the history of Africa. You don't own that goddamn conversation. You realize that when somebody writes a history book, the main purpose of a history book is to self-promote? If I write a history book, I'm self-promoting black folks. When a white person writes a history book, they're self-promoting white people. So when people tell you about history, do you understand that could be a form of pimping? Says pimping. And yet what we're doing is we're in a situation that we allow people, oh, he is so brilliant. Brilliant about what? The problems you're dealing with? Or something that's vast out there? I got a father-in-law. If you ever listen to this tape, I'm not coming to Thanksgiving, I'm sure. But every time I see him, he wants to tell me about some deep secret in philosophy I don't understand. I don't even talk to him anymore. I'd be like, oh, that's powerful, man, wow. What about your body, bro? What about your brain? What about your family? What about your personal life? Master that knowledge first. Because everything you want, that's what you have to use to get there. But yet, we're going to tell me about some great far-off land that you ain't never going to, but then you having debates. Like, how are you arguing about sport teams? Explain to me that even if you like or dislike the Warriors, is it going to impact their money, their pocketbooks? Are they going to pay you? What is wrong with you? Stay local. This is where we do some of the pimping. The reason you're being pimped because you're too far gone from the reality which is your own. Any questions?
So we talk about finding the solution or being the solution to problems. So I'm new to the entrepreneur game and I want to make a change just like we talk about, but I don't really know how. And I don't even know if I'm in the position to make change yet because I'm still growing and learning. So my question is there a point where you should start figuring out a way to give back during the development stage, or should you wait?
Yeah, we had the same conversation earlier today. Put the mask on your own face first. You can't help nobody till you help yourself. Also, while you're helping yourself, you're also inspiring people. So when there's some young girl or some young dude watching you right now grow, and you're inspiring them to grow. So you are helping by you growing first. Don't ever help people with your growth, help people with your net. Meaning make your money first and then make a decision to invest in solutions. Also, when you invest in solutions, if it doesn't generate resources, it's not sustainable and you will have no succession. Meaning that once you die, it's gone. It has to be able, whatever solution you create, it has to be aligned with other people's needs so it can always grow. So don't buy into this idea. Don't buy into this modern nonprofit. I'm gonna help you and give you my blood, sweat, and tears, and then when you die, they move on to the next. All you do is helping the leeches. If you're gonna help real people, then first build. Also, let me explain something real quick, simple. Watch this formula, and we're doing it right in front of your face. We're showing you right in front. So 510 Media starts a company. We had to learn. We took us 17 years to get good at what we do, right? So in that process, we grew so much to the point that it's unimaginable how much we've grown, but it was in small increments. We built a brand of knowing what we do to the point that people pay us a lot of money to do what we do. We take our popularity, our brand, and our relationships and tell the world we want to give back, and this is what we're going to do. As soon as we turn to give back, because we have a brand of doing this, every human being in this room want to give back. But if Michael Jordan tomorrow decide he wants to give money to every kid that didn't make it through the basketball league that's suffering at home, he would get so much money because people who perform automatically said other people trust to support their own desires to help others, right? So as you grow your own success, you start to gain momentum, trust, value, respect. Now doors will open for you can't even imagine. Stephanie Bradshaw is a door for Fight Team Media, right? These doors happen because we're performing. Now, if we weren't performing, she would never heard about it. She would have started first class like, tell them don't come up here, I'm calling the police, right? But the reality is that our performance says, yo, we should collaborate. Because at the end of the day, Stephanie says, I want to help the black community, but I got a job over here and I don't know how to do that. Right? And matter of fact, her industry is providing jobs for people who don't have jobs, or providing skills for people who don't have those skills. So her whole life is giving back. So when she meets us, there's so many people like us floating around that say, I want to help, but I don't have the resources or time. Right? But if you are not that person because you already showed up, if you just, I got an idea. You know how many ideas that are out there? And so Fight Team Media has been on a constant trajectory of growth because we invest and we grow our core business. And we built a reputation on what we know, to the fact that even to the point that when I open up the floor to constant questions, we know how to show up to those questions because this is not the first time we heard them, and this is not the first problem we've ever solved. We're doing this every day. You just come along and ask something that we're always dealing with. Even teaching this class the first year, it was just me saying, this is what the fuck I do, and this is what y'all need to do. Am I lying? Whoever was around the first year, it was pretty bad. My ego was on there. It was on some shit. But what I was trying to hero people. And then later on I realized I had to serve people. And in serving people, it's a whole different game. I'm here for you. I'm not here for me. At first it was like, I need to teach y'all this. Now it's, what do y'all need to help you achieve what you want to achieve? And how do I serve you? Whole different approach. And so this class has changed so much. I even changed the way I talk to people. I used to smash you down until you get back up. Am I lying? Hey, shut the fuck up was my key word. You just fuck the fuck up anytime you want to. I don't give a shit. Walk out if you want. I don't need you. That's not healthy. That was something wrong with me, right? But in my own evolution of me serving, I learned to humble myself and show up to individuals, and also see that I removed this barrier of smart and an unintelligent. This is my circle of genius because this is what I do all the time. But if I walk into your circle of genius, I'm going to be ignorant, and I'm going to accept that ignorance. You don't want this, so it's put the mask on your own face, perform. As you perform, once you reach a certain level of performance, you'll be best equipped to create an organization or a solution to help others. But if you're not investing in yourself, the worst thing to do is portray other people's resources with ideas that you're not prepared to support yourself. Yeah, go ahead.
So I ain't gonna lie. This hit my soul. For sure. So, okay. I'm trying to figure out how to say this because I think this is probably the thing that I have dealt with the most since not making it after playing college basketball. So the question that I heard was not from you guys, but it was, are you really this way, or are you being what life made you? And I was a totally different person before I went to play college. And when I got to college, it was everything that I didn't think it was going to be. And everything wasn't in my control. Coaches getting fired, not knowing the rules. First 2 years depressed, second 2 years unhappy. So I feel like the world never got to even see who I really was. So I struggled with not wanting to go back and help that world, because I feel like in that world I have to help people achieve the dream that I lost and never got over. And I don't truly know how to give the people what they want, and I want to, but I'm in survival mode. So I don't know how to help and coach and train when I know that there's so much more that's being lost. Like you said, somebody said, I think it was Court, I don't know who it was, but you basically saying that it's more than just training that they need. So I know that there's more that they need, but I feel like I have to get to a certain place where I can financially afford to give without this need to be a hero or to feel like not a failure, because I still feel scared to go out into the world for people to see where I'm at now, because I've always succeeded until I hit the floor and no one was there to help me, and I couldn't afford the resources to like get back up. And I still feel like I'm basically competing against my old self, and I don't really know how to get out of the reality of it, because I don't know if I'm supposed to save me, save my mom, save the kids, or I feel unappreciative because everybody say, well, you did stuff that we ain't never did. You went to college, you went out of the country, so I feel ungrateful or I feel less than, but I have this drive in me that I don't know how to control because I know I want to be better, but I don't really know how to be.
So I'm gonna let Court. Well, I'm gonna go big picture, and Court. I think Court's gonna make the attachments. I'm gonna say this real quick. You might be my favorite question to ask her next. First,
year.
Shakina was a queen, but I think you might be still in her crown. Your questions are getting your humility, the honesty, the pureness. I promise you, you about to be my highlight for the week. So first of all, I so appreciate you. Two, I think what hits us in the chest that we're both you, and you don't know it.
You don't know it.
And so we're about to share with you, because we're hood kids, that when I hit my first million, I was like, how is this possible? Even though I knew I deserved to be here, because there was a part of me that brought into the branding. And so I think this might be one of the most personalized answers you about to ever get, because I think we're going to bring both of ourselves onto the table a little bit. But I want you to see how there's some things you're telling yourself.
Take it.
Take it?
And I'll
Okay.
I'll come after, because I still need to like smoke a
Yeah.
blunt today.
Okay, let me keep this 100. If you're going to climb, you can't look down. You got to look up. When you're looking down, you're never going to get to the top, because you're going to keep reflecting on who you used to be, what you used to be, and all the old stories that you came from. Going to the top means there's a new you. Every time you go to another level of life, the old you doesn't exist anymore. So the romanticism of the past and holding yourself victim to the past rules, they can't exist anymore. Also, in order to help people, you got to get to the top and then pull people up. You can't climb with them all on your back, otherwise you only can get up to a certain level. Number 3, all the things that happened to you at the time are actually lessons. None of them were wrong. None of them were bad. When school went bad for you, or other people that betrayed you, or even when you said okay, first of all, you did not fail. You're way too damn young to use the word fail. If you're 85 years of age, you got hella wires hooked up to you, a lot of this beep, beep, beep. You're like, I didn't do shit, Nana. I'm like, shit, that's kind of fucked up. I might be like, yeah, I'm rocking with you, right? I started fighting me at the age of 37. I tried a lot of shit between 18 to 37. It was a lot of stuff. Can't necessarily say I always had the proper attention, but I did a lot of shit, right? At 37, it finally clicked, and I started to gain some momentum. And even in that process, I doubted myself for a long time. But what you don't realize is that, okay, I'm gonna say something to you that it's gonna take you a minute to get it, and I get it. Your past is a hallucination. Your past is a hallucination. They only mean something if you make it. They mean nothing if you choose not to. I chose to let my past go. I don't identify with the bottom of my past, but I still love people in that space. So I got a family that's wild as hell. Like I went to one of my family get-togethers the other day, and I was like, whew, I gotta get out of here quick, because somebody about to start shooting. And these cats kept talking about shooting. I'm like, come on, y'all family, why do we do this every year? And they all been in jail. They all shot, right? That's just how they get down. And I'm sure I can beat them in dominoes, but I don't want to play dominoes with them. It's just not gonna be. I can't talk shit because I'm nervous, right? Because that's how my family gets down. And I love them, and I'm always trying to figure out how to throw a lifeline to them. And if and their nieces, and some of them is too late, but when their nieces and nephew come out, I'm there for them. Yo, uncle's over here, or cousins over here. But as I grow, if you hold on to that story, you're gonna never grow. I had to let shit go to grow. That's why you have to look up to grow. If you look down and grow, I promise you, it's gonna become scary. Every time you get further away from the bottom, you can feel it. You get nervous. You start wondering, am I disconnecting? How am I ever get back down again? But when you focus on your head up, you become excited, you get joyful, you're like, I'm almost there. I got to work a little bit harder. Then when you get up there, the next solution is then how do I reach down to them? 2, whatever you've been through, if you take that past you've been through, what happened in college, and all these things that you thought would betrayed you, and you say, what is the lesson for me? And you seek out the lesson. You take that lesson and you give that to the young people around you. And that's what they need from you. They don't need you to tell them how to get to the mountaintop. Tell them how you got through what you went through and what you saw along the way. You know, I do this thing called Chicago Stepping. You understand me? And you know, look here, I like the way I dance and many others too. So anyway, point is this. And so that's my free advertisement for the day brought to you by Donna Cofenti. But anyway, so here's the thing. So I do Chicago Stepping. And I had the fortunate opportunity to meet one of the best dancers still alive. This cat, older brother, one of the coolest dancers I've ever seen. He brings the essence of when you think about black people dancing, he brings the essence of that. Because it's a ballroom from a dancer, it's a smooth dance. And a lot of people who led the dance was pimps. So it has a lot of pimpish flavor in it. You understand me? And so I went to him for lessons and didn't understand shit he taught me because he was too far in front of me. My best teachers were the one step in front of me. Every day you grow, you have the ability to teach the person one step behind you. As you get to a certain point, you can magnify that. That's when the organizations come along or the systems you build, right? But you're not helpless to help others. But what makes you helpless is how you frame your life, your reality. You've never been a victim. Just cut that out. You've had some crazy experiences. You might even had some fucked up experiences. But they're all lessons for you. Because this life was never meant to be perfect for none of us. There's nobody in this room that could ever judge you because ain't nobody around you perfect. Ain't a perfect motherfucker to be found. When you find one, bring that Lucky Charm motherfucker to me. Because it doesn't exist. Right? It just doesn't exist. You get where I'm going with this? So in the end, if you take that life you have, you got so much valuable data in your past. All your hardships is wisdom, knowledge, and strength that others don't have. That sister from Chicago has that same energy. But when she takes that energy and harnesses it as a fuel, as an engine, she passes us all up. Oprah Winfrey was the first person I ever saw that with. Oprah Winfrey talked about how she was raped all the time, I think by her uncle or something like that. And she had this hardship childhood. But she used that to give her an angle to go past what other people were scared to go. See, this sister right here might be like, I'm scared. I ain't never been there before. You're going to be like, fuck it, I've been through worse. Let's go. When this sister says, that's too much, she'd be like, I figured this shit out before, I'm going to do it. Ask Shakina over there. She's the fucking lady. Fuck it. Right? The reality is that that's what life is in itself. But a lot of people don't have the strength you have because you're still sitting here after all that shit. You still having conversations the way you are through all that shit. You are not your past. That's going to be the hardest part for you to accept. It's going to take some time. And let me say this last point. As you tell stories that you romanticize, it becomes the lock that traps you in your past. You cannot tell these sexy stories about when I was younger, or I used to be a gangster, I used to be out there. You stuck. You got to be able to say, I'm building new stories every fucking day. You should be replacing stories every fucking day. Over time, you're telling new stories. Now, it doesn't mean that when you meet another sister like you, when you get to a certain point, you can reach back and grab those stories. But now my stories are so inaccurate because I don't even tell them no more. I might become the hero when I was getting my ass whooped. I don't know what I'm gonna tell you, right? But the reality is that you got to learn to find new stories. Otherwise, you will victimize yourself and limit your own growth and your own trajectory.
Question. What? How old are you?
Oh my God! I knew I spelled
27. So you're 27 years old. So at 27 years old, you've experienced the life you have up to this point, right? Your dream was to do what? WNBA. So you, how tall are you? 5'3.5", girl out of West Oakland, East Oakland, California. Okay.
Come on now,
Okay.
come on.
All right.
Keep it in details.
Okay. found a way, the grit, the skill, the work ethic, the mentality, the mindset, to work your way through to get what kind of scholarship?
Full ride.
Full ride scholarship. To which school?
Arizona State University.
Arizona State.
Come on, man.
Balled out at Arizona State.
Come on.
And then your dream fell short right at the last chapter of that. In between there were some hardships. Coaches got fired, things got turned around, which caused you to have some depression, things of that nature, because you just didn't have the equipment mentally to deal with that kind of stuff.
At the time.
Okay, so now you're here. Now, of course, where we come from, the knowledge, skill set, emotional agility, understanding that all the people around us, they don't have it. They don't understand it. They don't know. So the you should be grateful mentality is prevalent because you damn near might as well went to Mars, right? Because how many college graduates do you have in your family?
Not many.
Not many. Not a lot. Okay. So there's not a lot of energy around that anyway. So once you get to that place in your family, it's called survivor's guilt. That's what it's called. It's called survivor's guilt. That feeling is no different than if there was a mass shooting in some school and they killed everybody but one kid, and that kid had to grow up because they're like, their mentality is so distorted because they're like, why me? I feel so bad. I feel bad that I didn't go because the other family members grieved and my parents didn't have to grieve. So you carry this weight. So now you have this expectation of this massive amount of success because you survived. The first thing you got to understand is none of that's real.
Come on, Court. Come on.
None of it.
Come on, Court.
It might as well be in like a little fairy tale book with you as like this beautiful black princess in the front and be a story for somebody because none of it's real. It's just a take. It's just somebody's perspective. None of it's real.
None of it.
The real truth is that you're a 27-year-old young woman who've had tremendous momentum in her life and you still got 70 years to go. What's that next chapter going to look like? And if you raw, which I think you are, is what nuggets can I take from those experiences and put it in my toolbox on this next chapter? How long have you known me?
2016, 2017.
2016 is when we start interacting. Did you know 2013 I had an EBT card in my wallet?
No.
Yeah, I did. I had to have one too. My big ass at the grocery store, and they looking at me like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, go get a job," because I had crashed and burned. So the millions that come now, that's just from rebranding myself and starting over and using my tools and learning and going harder and being that GPS. And being that GPS. Okay, what do I want to do now? Now, I'm 46, going on 47. So in 2013, I was late 30s. I was late 30s. We talked about earlier that you're making mistakes a lot of the time in life. It's not the winnings. It's not the perfection. It's not the I'm 110 for 10. None of that shit is real. None of it is. It's what makes you dope is what do I have in my toolbox from those experiences? What can I carry with me from those experiences? And how much energy can I bring to what I'm doing next based on that last failure? Hey, I'm alive? Oh shit, they done fucked up now. I'm not dead? I can walk? My brain works? Oh yeah, I'm like the Joker. Where did they get a load of me? I'm coming crazy now. And harder, with more vengeance, with more energy, with more tenacity, with more everything. Because guess what? That time when I hit that ground hard and crashed, I carry that with me. Those failures, I carry that with me. So when you say you can't do this or you can't do that or that's not possible, or when I feel like quitting or I'm laying up like, who made me think that I could build some shit? I pull that out my bag and be like, remember this? Remember this? Oh shit, okay, let's go. So you got the same DNA or better. You got the same DNA or better. It's just exactly what, once you remove that story, just say, oh, it's just a little book. It's just a children's book. It happened. It's just a children's book. And be able to like shrug your shoulders on at a certain point when you get to shrug your shoulders and forgive yourself for it. It's the forgiveness of yourself. You're such a technician in your brain. You're a technician because you had to be. Like, people don't give short guards they credit. You got to be better than everybody else. You got to be more skilled than everybody else to get your shot off, to get around. So the level of detail in what you do has to be so precise because you have to be better than everybody. That's the beauty. You take that and you bring it over here. And now you cold. Now it's cold. Now it's not even fair. And they're like, what? But I think what's holding you back is that story. Is like you owe somebody. You don't owe nobody shit.
You're looking down.
How do I
Exactly.
let go? How do I let it go?
You focus on where you want to go. Stop focusing on because right now you're focusing on them. Focus on everybody else. You're not in a position. Focus on where you want to go.
Yeah. And the first thing is you got to sit with yourself and forgive yourself for that and close that chapter. Because there's opportunities out there for you in front of you that you can't see because like you said, you still looking at the past. Once you forgive yourself and be like, we good. That was good. Man, that was hella good. Thank you for that experience. I'm grateful for that. That made me better. Matter of fact, you don't realize that 10 years from now, you're going to be like, I'm so glad that happened. Trust me, 10 years from now, all the shit that you've gone through, you're going to be like, yes. If it didn't happen in that sequence, I don't know if I would be here in this space. So, but you got to let it go. I've had a conversation with him about this too. Last year, there was all kind of hood stories coming out in class. All kind of hood stories. Personal hood stories. Because a part of me was still holding on a little bit to that identity. Because I felt myself like floating away from like that old hood shit. And I'm like, I don't want to lose myself and be this nerd. But I had to break free from that because if I want to get to that next level, I got to detach completely from them stories. Now, if they come up organically, then they do. But I'm not going to volunteer the shits. I'm not going to trade war stories with nobody no more. I ain't trading none of that because I'm over it. And I think once I don't owe Oakland nothing. I don't owe Oakland nothing. And Oakland don't owe me nothing. So the same with you is once you let go completely and forgive yourself, it's game over. It's game over for you. Then the thing is, what you want to do in business is probably going to change. Because you're going to see a different lens now of Lily of like different colors open up. Oh, I didn't know. I never noticed that color before. I never noticed. Oh, it's going to change. And then because right now, when you see all those little girls who run up to you and like want to be you, you like, get your fucking little ass out of here. This shit it don't end right. They don't end good. Like you just like fuck these little kids. A little bit.
Yes. It's that to the ones who don't listen. Like it's like I've been where you're trying to get to. So let me game you up so you could do better or at least not have to go through as much pain or at least be able to see the challenges coming and have the tools to deal with it. The ones who like, hey, I want to learn. I'm okay with tough love. I'm okay to be criticized. Them the ones I give everything to unconditionally because I want them to know I love you with or without basketball, and I don't think.
Yeah,
I
but you
felt
can't. You
that.
can't. You're projecting yourself to other. You're not
Yep.
teaching them. You're controlling them. Teaching somebody is showing them to where they're at. That's number one, right? Two, I'm hearing some labeling too.
Okay.
You have to get rid of labels, and I ain't talking about like that social justice shit. Labels is when you think you are something. Don't realize that you're multiple things, and they're always interchanging. Like let's just say that we're talking about politics. Well, if you look at my bank account, I'm a Republican. You look at my community work, I'm a Democrat. When it comes to my family, I'm a liberal, and or sometimes maybe a socialist. And when it comes to me and my wife, I'm an independent. Don't tell me. Hey, shit, I'm gonna get trouble. Oh, whatever, shit. That's who I am. So, but what I'm saying with all that is this: is that you're a lot of different things. But when you buy into labels, you also hold on to those ideas even when you're not in those spaces, right? And you even labeling yourself by your past. You're not your past. There are kids in your family right now that you can hero by you just doing what you're supposed to do. And you'll help them find their way out. Poverty is a state of mind. Poverty is not condoned by, it's not a condemnation of nature. It is not a restriction of God. It's a mindset. Slavery and poverty is part of the same DNA. You can't pull these kids out of slavery if you're still trying to wallow in it yourself. You're going to first free yourself to free others. And by you just freeing yourself, you just told the kids it's a possibility. So if you really want to serve the people around you, it doesn't help you to stay in the mud with them. All you're doing is comforting them and personalizing their experience. Also, you're thinking that you have the right to control what they're going to do for themselves. One thing I learned about helping people, you got to give them the right to make their own decisions. And I'm talking about at any age. Like you put your hand out there and those who want it are going to grab it. And those who don't, it's on them. But also those who don't grab your hand, you don't get the right to judge them either. Mm-hmm. Quite often when you judge individuals, it has more to do, it's a clue of how you feel about yourself. Mm. So there's some layers to this conversation of, look, okay, and another thing I want to say about you, I know already that you're impatient, so you're going to try to fix yourself. You can't fix yourself like that. You got to grow yourself. Mm. And growing yourself takes time. So say between 27 and 30 and 33 or 34, 35, you become a total different person with a whole different life, right? But if you say between 27 and 29, I'm going to get a change, the disappointment may create discouragement, and then you go back in the mud. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Last, you're in a culture that tells you to celebrate, we upside down. Hip hop is the most upside down celebration of culture. We celebrate the bottom over the top. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times we take pride of our connection to the bottom. But we, like, how many times have you seen brothers be around talking like, yeah, I'm a scientist. I got scientists in my family. But we quick to say, I'm a player because I got players in my family. And you can feel the energy, the difference. It's a difference in transfer of energy because our culture's upside down. This game we're trying to get you into is we're trying to turn that hourglass the other way around and get you focused the other way. And so you've been primed your whole life to overvalue the bottom. You have not been primed your life to look up. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A lot of us have lost hope to the point that we don't even have the desire to look up anymore. Mm-hmm. And so at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with you, but even in our presentation responding to your question, we haven't.
There's still so much.
It's so much more. That's why I say we got to stay with us because we're constantly giving you tools. When I get to mental distortion, that's all going to be about you because you show me so many mental distortions is ridiculous. And so if you're moving through life with mental distortions, you're fighting your own brain right now. You're not fighting the world. That's why he says it's not real. Your brain is causing your destruction, not the world around you. Not your family, not your parents, not your coaches, not the school, not your money. Your brain is causing destruction.
Let me jump in there. One thing is, two things is there is this acceleration because getting to that place is easy to understand, hard to do, especially where we come from. But here's some tools. Here's two tools. First tool is this. You got to become more humble. Humility. Humility. True humility. True humility is palms up. How can I serve you? Right? Now, at true humility, you don't really give a fuck about how you feel or what you've personally gone through or this or that. You're in complete service mode to whoever's in front of you. You want to get rich? Be humble and be of complete service to somebody. And guess what? Do it consistently to the point to where when you sick one day or one day you don't show up, they need you. There's a void without you. Now they're willing to put money on that. I'll pay you. Don't leave no more. Because once you become of service and you start adding so much value and finding openings where you can serve and help and add, you ain't thinking about you. You don't care about you. But it takes humility to get that. So y'all remember the story when I was in that EBT phase and my partner came to me and was like, Court, I know you. Like, what's up? Like, what's going on? You ain't even got a car? Here, just take one of my cars. And I said, what kind of car is it?
Right.
But that's the mentality we stuck in where we from, because our ego and we like, man, to the point to where I'm willing to continue to walk if the car ain't a cool car. It wasn't, so that's my first sign of like, damn, I thought I was humble, but I'm really not. I'm just struggling in scarcity right now, still with an ego. So I'm posturing for the rest. I was like hiding behind things, trying to get from my house to the BART station because I didn't want people to see me. It wasn't until I was comfortable in my situation and more humble, that's when I can start seeing opportunities to help and serve people. That's how my money start coming up. Oh yeah, man, yeah, okay, $500 a month, no problem. $1,000 a month, no problem. I got you, and I'm gonna give you my best work. Give me that bucket, I'll take it. Cause now I just cut the time in half from getting A to B. Now I can get to A to B in 10 minutes. Now I got more time in the day. Now I can make more money because that. So give me the bucket. I'm mobbing that bucket. I still pull up on somebody. Hey, what's your name? Come here.
Mobbing in my old school.
To the point where I'm cool and comfortable and confident. And now it wasn't even, I realized it wasn't even the car that got me them girls. It was the confidence. Once you you have to start, you have to show whoever your higher power is, whatever you believe in, that, all right, I'm done. I divorced that old self. I'm willing to start over. Give it to me. And you start with being of service with wherever you are, because you don't really know where your huge money pocket is, your money stream is. You don't know where it's at. It could be those little girls. It could be not those little girls, but how do you know until you're not like really in that space of serving? Teaching this class, it was, man, how can I help? What can I do? Like I don't gotta go off and reinvent the wheel. You doing it already. So how can I add value? How can I serve? That, like, when you get in that mode, because I know where the mode you in is a tough place to be, but once you release it, you realize, man, this is all y'all expectations. I'm gonna go. I don't care what nobody thinks of me. You can't take those. Like, the thing about what you did, that those stats is locked in forever. So you can't ever take that away from you anyway. But fuck them. It's gone. They gone.
Thank you.
Nice. Go ahead. Next slide.
Oh, this is a perfect segue to this. Skill is rarer than talent. So our system in America is built to find the most talented individuals and funnel them into their spaces in life. That's the way our system is. That's why IQ tests are here. That's why testing is here from a very young age. And guess where you find out you are in life starting at kindergarten? You're in the whatever percentile in reading, writing, math, whatever. because our job is to find talent. And most of the time, the idea is for talent to find its way in its appropriate section so that can be curated, and that's how everybody gets the jobs that they're supposed to have, or people go where they're supposed to go. The issue with this is, with that model, it creates a tremendous amount of laziness. Creates crazy amount of laziness. So if we sticking with the basketball analogy, if you are tall as a youngster, then everybody's pushing you to basketball. If you husky as a youngster, everybody's pushing you to football, right? They start pushing people in their respective groups, so that when they get older, there's a good chance that they can make it. The problem is people get lazy in the space, and you rely solely on talent. And what we don't realize is statistics show that a good majority of top performers, they weren't talented as a kid. They developed this sick work ethic, this sick, insane work ethic. Because at a certain point, if you don't have the same mindset as that person with insane work ethic, he's gonna pass you up. He's gonna pass you up. And if you've been praised for all your life for being that top kid, best kid, and you never developed the work habit, we see it in hoop, because that's my world. I'm in the world of youth basketball. So that 6'1" fifth grader, that kid is living the life right now. He's getting all the free shoes, all the free gear. He's playing on the top teams. They're scouting him already. He's already on ESPN. He's living a life. He's getting picked first every time. So there's no struggle. Meanwhile, the little Steph Curry's, who's like 4'1" right now, he ain't getting shit. But if he has that insane work ethic, that insane desire to get better every single day, there's going to be a threshold point where he passes everybody the hell on up. So, and what I say to you is, a lot of our world right now is being ran by the skilled, not the talented. There's a lot of talented people that's homeless, broke, poor, unhappy, ain't got shit. It's the truth. That same person that I was talking to yesterday at the gym, I grew up with them as kids. Those kids are prodigies. Those kids were prodigies intellectually. Like some of the most intelligent people I've ever been around. And so I'm like, in my brain, I hadn't seen them since. I'm like, you must work for NASA, and you must work for like the CIO, or you must be a CEO of a .com company. Because of how intelligent they were, number 1 and number 2 in the country in school when they took those tests. Warehouse, welding, shit. But guess what? Partiers. I don't gotta study for no test. I could show up every Friday and ace that motherfucker. I don't gotta show up. My oldest son was like that. He started reading at 3 years old. So he was 7th grade reading level from 5, 6 years old. So he cruised through everything. So he was just had a chill kind of vibe. And I could show up. So guess what happened? They skipped him a grade. He got skipped. Oh, he's too smart. Oh, he skipped. Guess what happened? 7th grade, because he had that 7th grade reading mentality. He had the 7th grade reading, so he couldn't go to 8th grade. So he had to repeat 7th grade because he chilled and milked that motherfucking 7th grade all the way up until it didn't work no more. So then where was a work ethic past 7th grade? It wasn't. So he was like, C's, I just see it out till I graduate. He's like, I want to be a designer anyway, so I don't give a fuck about this. That's typical mentality. So if you want to, don't worry about where you are and where somebody else is. That's not your journey. Your focus is, how can I continue to get better today? How can I improve today? What can I do today? How can I outwork myself today? And I guarantee you the butterfly effect, I can venture to guess on both of our parts that us sitting up here we don't got no special talents. I ain't got no special talents. I ain't got no talents. Like, did you pick up a camera your first time and click a picture and
Boy.
somebody's like, I'll pay you $50,000 for that?
Boy, if you saw my first picture, boy.
You see what I'm saying? But now you'll make $500,000 on one deal. Ain't no special talent. But no special talent. So understand, skills rarer than talent. Let's keep going. So Shabisha can read today. Okay.
You want me to read this? Okay. There's no promise the world cares about your mission.
Oh, God. Now, if you really understand this in business, this probably slap you in the face a little bit. A lot of times we'll create these things and we have these missions about it and the reasons why we did it. You have to understand there's no guarantee that anybody's going to give a fuck. There's no guarantee. That's
Not
why
supposed to.
they're not supposed, and that's why we preach the service mentality. If you are of service, then you're going to be on the pulse of what they want or what they need. If you have this God complex in business, like me becoming an entrepreneur is because I'm a boss. And because I don't like listening to people. I don't like nobody telling me to do what to do. So now that's why I'm gonna be a entrepreneur or a CEO. You're on a fast track to fucking road to hell, to entrepreneur hell. Because you go from not having one person that you had to service to have to service all your customers. And if you don't like people, you're like, I don't like people. Well, how the hell are you going to make money? How you going to make money? Because you got to get it from them. And if they don't feel like you like them, they ain't going to give it to you. So you got to change your mentality. I used to say that too. I don't like people. I don't like people. I had to learn that I know I loved people. So I had to take my love into like too. Because if not, they're going to feel that. And if they feel it, they're going to be hesitant of pulling out their credit card and giving it to me. So the point is, you have to understand, if a person is holding money that you need or want, and you're trying to sell a product or a service, the question that they're asking in your pitch is, what's in it for me? Who died and made you the conservator over my money? You have to convince them why it's good for them to give you their money. You have to convince them. You have to pitch that to them, and they got to believe it. Here's 3 things that a customer goes through. There's a lot of different rules of thought, but here's one of the basic ones. The brain is going through these mental humps without you kind of consciously knowing. What is it? That's what it's saying. When you come up and pitch your business, and what is this? What is this? With lots of skepticism. What is this? After you get through what it is and it ding registers in the brain of the mind that you're trying to sell what it is, the next question that it hits is, why should I believe you? I don't know you. Why should I believe you? So if you're not consciously answering those questions, their no is going to be stuck at that, either first one or second one. I don't even know who you are, or I don't believe it. You're not passing the eye test. You're not passing the word test. You ain't giving me no reasons. Why should I believe you that you are who you say you are? And the last one and third one is, okay, I know what you do. I believe that you are that person, but why should I believe you? But what's in it for me? Meaning, what's the value of what you selling? How's that going to benefit me? Now, if you can't answer those 3 questions, that's why you're getting them no's. That's why you're getting them no's. And most of the time, we fail at the third question. What's in it for me? Because we're not of service. We're not humble enough to say, hey, I see there's a problem that you have right now and I have a solution for it. And here's 5 ways I can fix your problem. And the value of the problem that I'm going to fix for you is way higher than the money you're going to give me. So what's in it for you first is, A, I'm going to solve that problem, that nagging problem that you have. And 2, I'm going to solve it at a price that's way less than what the size of the problem is for you. And then if you're savvy, you'll come up with 4, 5, and 6 reasons. So it's hard for them to say no. It's hard for them to say no. So if you say, well, I was brought here by the universe and God blessed me to come down and bring to you this service because, I'm blessing you because, I'm just that person. And so I stepped away from my busy schedule to come talk to you, to give you all of this God-given game. You lost them because in their mind, fuck out of here. Shit about this. You ain't sold me. You ain't told me how you can solve my problem. What's in it for me? What's in it for me? All humans are self-centered from that perspective.
Hey, don't you think, Court, that when they go wrong out the gate is I'm quitting my job because I want to be my own boss, or I'm quitting my job because I want to prove to people I can run my own business. That self-centered approach automatically puts you in a position where you're not coming into this game to serve. You're coming to this game to prove yourself, which that means you're coming to this game in a narcissistic, egotistical place, or sometimes even grandiosity, which is you're showing up in a way to validate yourself, not serve others.
Man, it happens so much. Now, are there success stories from that? There are, but when it happens is when they make the turn from jumping off that narcissistic hype to being humble. Because what typically happens, they'll start that way, and then they'll hit some fucking bumps in the road, and they start crashing and burning. And then they're like, oh, God, help me. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I won't be like that no more. Crash. All right, well, now let's be humble. Now it's one brick at a time. How can I serve you, sir? How can I serve you? Now the energy is different. Now what happens is they'll go back up. They just won't tell you that part. They won't tell you that part. Only the woman Jay-Z was messing with when Jay-Z was in that dirty ass 1-bedroom apartment with no money and broke, using her credit to get a whip and her credit to get this, is the only person that knows that story. We looking at the Jay-Z from what we listen to and the music. But I've heard that interview. Like, oh, shit, he was just like the rest of us at a certain point. Once you flip that switch to service, the game changes. So, listen, your customers don't owe you nothing. The customers don't owe you nothing. They don't. So, we gotta flip our switch in terms of, if your mission has to align with what your customers need.
No, shit, nobody owe you nothing. The market doesn't owe you nothing.
Nothing.
Nobody. If you don't do shit, you ain't getting shit.
Yeah.
That's a simple. Okay, that's an Einstein quote. You don't do shit. Okay, Einstein was drunk that night. But the point is this: if you don't bring value, you don't get value. Like I am somebody. I think people examined that phrase and said that phrase has caused more damage to folks because you just assume that you deserve value even though you haven't done anything valuable. Mm-hmm. And so value is something that you earn. Value is something how you show up. You just don't get to walk in a room and be nobody. And matter of fact, that's how you become invisible. If you want to become invisible, you just want to disappear, just do nothing for nobody. And nobody will even see you. So the reality is that if you want, they don't even see me. I'm like, oh, what do you do that's valuable? How much are you investing in your personal values? And if you're in a job where you're waiting for somebody to promote you or give you value or train you, I want you to understand you're waiting on somebody to give you value and you wonder why they don't see value in you.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, how do I change my mindset of not wanting to feel like I need to depend on my customers, like to make it. Because I feel like I'm in between the world of having
You
a
do
job.
depend on your customer. You do depend on your customer. You don't need to, want to.
You do.
You do. Like, look
Yeah,
here. If my
everything.
customers say goodbye tomorrow,
We fucked.
I'm going to sit next to you. I'm doing something wrong. Come on, second.
No,
but here's the thing.
yeah.
Why? The bigger question is, why do you feel that's a problem to depend on somebody? The problem is that and that's part of conditioning that's going to take some time to loosen up. Like we're going to have to do some conditioning with you and loosen up some of those beliefs. But a lot of those, I promise you, when I say poverty is a mindset, it is not a morality call. It's not like you're a good person, bad person. It's not a smart and dumb thing, because there's a lot of smart dudes in the hood that ain't had no lick of education, but a certain mindset will create poverty, not education. And so, like, you got to get to the point that you got to realize that serving is the highest form of leadership. As a business owner, I serve my customers, I serve my employees, I serve my I serve my child. I got to serve everybody, because in order for me to lead them, you only can lead them to true service. This whole idea that you're supposed to be the hero is a distortion of leadership. True leadership is serving. If you try to hero people, you will eventually lose them, because you will eventually disconnect from them, because you're too busy serving yourself.
And I'm gonna say this again. Don't think I love Oakland, so don't think I don't. I love the city. However, this is part of the distorted part of our culture here in Oakland. Is our claim to fame is that we independent, right? We out the trunk. You know, we out the trunk. We independent. Man, the Crips and Bloods couldn't even come up here and convert nobody. Like, that's how independent we are. Like, and the positive sides of that, also there's a nasty negative. We don't think we need nobody. We want to do everything ourselves. We don't want no middleman. We don't want to hire people to do jobs that we feel like we can do ourselves. So we'll create these businesses or ideas or things, and it looks like shit because we did everything. We designed the logo, we did this, we cooked the food, we did that, because we independent. We don't need nobody. And I don't want to pay no middleman, because that's not town, that's not Oakland, that's not our mentality. All that shit's wrong. That shit's false. You cannot scale a business because none of us are that dope. You have to rely on others as a peer, as a partner, as employees, and definitely our employees. Definitely our customers. Without our customers, we don't have a business. You don't got a business. So if you never can get to that space where you like, bitch, I don't need you. What? No, I need
Everybody.
I need
people.
you. I need you.
people.
I need everybody. And if you don't think, if I think I need you and I know you're my demographic, then let's sit down and talk, because I need to understand, where the disconnect is. Question?
So my question is, in East Bay, you said something about independency based in the Bay. And I noticed, just for instance, a friend of mine, we were having a conversation about being independent in the Bay, just in terms of like music, for instance, versus the E40s, the Too Shorts, and everybody like that, just independence, versus people from LA more so flock to record labels. So where they have the prestige or the fame, but they don't necessarily have the ownership, and they don't have the ownership or whatever of the Bay. So what do you think that is like for us? Like, is it a pride thing in the Bay, just because we used to being the little brother of, like, let's say LA, for instance, or whatever? You just made me think about that when you said that.
Can you get some of that first? Yeah. Okay, first of all, independence, and there's a time to be independent, there's a time to be with a group. It's when you over-exaggerate the value of independence. I think it was what we're suggesting. I want to make sure that's clear before I answer your question, because I don't want to demonize independence. There's a time when you got to get your own lesson, but one of the number one things that destroys a lot of entrepreneurs is independence. Because your brain, once again, go back to your brain will play tricks on you. You could be extremely intelligent, but you can't override your biases. Even the person who wrote the book about biases said, I'm not sure even he can get around it. He's like, I can't get around biases. It's not possible, because they're mental blind spots. So you need other people to help you with blind spots, as well as you ain't got time to do everything. And running a business is you not doing the work, is getting others to do it for you, right? That's number one. Number two, The reason you see a growth of independence, especially in our culture, is because the system's failing us. If the system wasn't failing us, I mean, like say if the system, like say our schools was like strong and our culture was strong and like people had high integrity because the culture is rich, then independence kind of starts to die away because human beings are naturally herd animals. When you see human beings running from independence, running towards independence, it's a canary in the cave. We got a bigger problem going on. So it's not really for me to judge your partner and say he's right or wrong. I think he's more organic to the environment, right? It's really about that environment is betrayed him so long that he's like, okay, fuck it, I got to take care of myself. And then I ain't got time to figure out what the next man's doing. But if he made promises with people along the way and they always collaborated and they had these systems on how to show up, they had structure and then they perform. And sometimes they didn't get results, but he saw results being produced. So a lot of times as our culture, we got so many canaries in the cage of the level of deterioration that we're hitting. It's insane. But what we keep doing as we hit a deeper level, we normalize it. We normalize it. We normalize it. But there's things like that are signs that we're actually in a traumatic space. And so, and that's why it's like, there's no way in the world as an entrepreneur, I think, like I tell entrepreneurs all the time, you being out here by yourself is why you're not performing well. Because you got to hear other people's stories, get these other shortcuts from other people, have the person you can talk to can understand the language you're using, be able to give you the feedback you need to perform at a different level. And you got to learn how to be humble to the information so you can absorb it at a fast rate, because part of our trauma makes us defensive, right? We've been through some shit. So that trauma says, even if we haven't been through shit, we perceive we've been through shit, which that's very important because I'm going to separate those down the road. But our perception is that we've been through shit. And so because we perceive we've been through shit, then wisdom can't get in because we keep blocking it with the other shit. We got to learn to let all that shit come in and realize that none of it can hurt us, and then extract what we need from all the stuff flowing in. We got to learn how to be humble, ask questions, be vulnerable. Because entrepreneurship, okay, when you have a job, you don't need none of that shit. You don't need to be humble. You don't need to ask no goddamn questions. You don't need to learn no new shit. You don't need to do nothing when you have a job. You just show up and get the job, what you've been asked to do every day. We don't realize when you leave the institutionalized, we call it, in entrepreneurs, we call it being institutionalized, because we were all institutionalized at one point. When we came out here to the wild, then all of a sudden we realized, oh shit, you mean this is a people relationship game? Individualism is an illusion? It's the worst thing in the world? I'm all about groups now, because if I don't get groups, I don't make money. Right? Even when you gave that example, you gave an example of a large group versus a smaller group idea, right? The independence group can form a different group, but if everybody's crying individualism as groups and they're taking pride of it, they will never build their own capital records because they have all the owners of capital records, but all the parts of the body are stretched apart. And so at some point, the brain has to see the value of the group over the I for the true I to truly prosper. Otherwise, the I will be limited because it thinks it is like God, which is the ego.
Yeah, there's a lot of rules of thought, right? Growing up, it's trying to figure out why. I'm sure you've sat around in little ciphers and talked about it. Like, why? Why you got LA, you got Atlanta, you got this. These people work together and we don't. Like, I've sat in them and I've tried and it led me nowhere, right? Because it's different rules of thought, different ideas of why. The interesting thing is this, is that one thing that that is for certain is that there are no absolutes. So what I decided to do was, all right, there are no absolutes, so I'm going to switch my reticular activating system on and look for brothers that do, and groups that do, and black folks that do. And guess what? I start finding them. I can't, I don't know why we like that. But what I want to do is start aligning myself with people that are like that. Because you said it perfectly. If you got a job, you could be an asshole. As long as you do your job right, you show up on time, you could be the biggest asshole in the world. If you're an entrepreneur, be an asshole, see what happens.
Starving.
You need, group, entrepreneur, group, employee, individual, right? That's just as simple as that. So the idea of synergy and human capital is huge. So a lot of times when we're in our ego, we think that we're all we need to be wherever we need to be. Somebody fed us that. You know what I'm saying? Somebody fed us that. But once you understand the power of human capital and the power of synergy, you realize how small we're playing this independent game. Just 2 people alone, the impact of 2 people. You know, if you take a 2x4, it can hold, I forget how many pounds, 5,000 pounds. But if you ever see a framed house and there's 2 2x4s together, you know how many thousands pounds that it can hold? Just 2 2x4s? Not double. Like 16, 17,000 pounds, just 2. Because there's something that we can't explain as humans when 2 things are working in unison. 1 horse can carry, like, you know, they call it horsepower. 1 horse can carry a certain amount of weight. I forget the weight, but let's call it 2,000 pounds. But 2 horses together can carry like 7,000 pounds. Because there's an energy that happens in exchange when 2 things are working that's way greater than just the sum of its parts. That's what the definition of synergy is. So when you collaborate, like when I teach the class by myself, there's a certain level of value. But when we're up here together, it's different. Because the energy, this energy in between us that we collab off each other comes up with so much greater things. So that independent shit, get it out. And I trying to figure it out, I can't help. I don't know. But what I have done is saying, all right, cool. I just you're an independent minded person, and next. And look for the people that aren't. So then, and figure out how we can work together. What's my dynamic? If I'm gonna work with him, where do I need? Because I'm a leader. I don't have I ain't had a boss since 2003. So I don't have nobody telling me what to do. But for the greater good, what do I need to do to make this work? Because if not, then shit will never work. Who's gonna be the one? So there's dynamics that you have to put in place for the sake of where you're trying to go.
And don't be a boss, do a boss. When you be a boss, that's ego. When you do a boss, you're serving. So everybody's running around, I'm a boss. No, then you're not a boss. When you do the work, you won't even know you're a boss. You're just so busy serving, other people will call you a boss, but you're too busy serving. Like literally, I gotta make everybody on my team better, and I gotta look out for them economically and personally. I gotta watch their personal lives and pour into them both ways while designing systems for them to maximize performance. But remember, they're running my company. So I'm serving them to run my company that ultimately I benefit from, that gives me a value. So I gotta serve them to get there. But if I'm trying to be a boss, I'm almost underserving them, which means that the competition is gonna take them from me and serve them. And so the game is cool because when you hire an employee, it's a rare resource. Good employees are hard to find. You can find a whole bunch of trash, but good people are hard to find. And so you gotta, it's like getting draft picks. When you get those number 1 players, you can't be, coach, where's our food? You don't need no food, just keep playing. Oh, damn, you went to the Celtics? That's messed up. No, it's not messed up. That's your fault. And so just remember, being a boss is not being a boss. It's doing, which is how do you serve people that they rise you up to a boss position.
And it's a perfect segue too, is so we had everybody put into a spreadsheet what they do, what their entrepreneurial jobs are, quickly, just to see how many we can get. So we had about 40 people to put in here. So I want to say, first of all, like this is some dope people in this class. Some dope people in this class. So on the whole synergy topic, start interacting with each other. Part of the value of this class is the network that you have of there's more, but only 40 filled out.
223
people. So 40 filled this out. And this is business, all kind of businesses, from clothing to restaurants to tax and finance to fitness to chiropractic to all kind of businesses that we definitely need to support each other, rock with each other. And B, this is part of this is the community that we can collab, talk to, get information, ask questions, because a lot of y'all have businesses that are similar. So you can exchange notes. Hey, what you doing in Chicago? What I'm doing out here? Or I'm just getting started. Can you help me? Like, learn to work with each other, and you can cross collab and cross pollinate your business ideas and cross brand each other in certain ways. So I got a whole I got an exercise that I want to do with this list that we'll save for later. But that's one of the things I want to point out before we move on. You won't.
Nature favors evolution, not revolution. Studies from many different fields have demonstrated that small shifts over time can dramatically enhance our ability to thrive. The most effective way to transform your life, therefore, is not by quitting your job and moving to an ashram, but, to paraphrase Teddy Roosevelt, by doing what you can with what you have where you are.
If I could whistle good, I'd be whistling right now. Super powerful game. A lot of times when we want to improve our life, change our life, we want to create these big dramatic things. I want to blow up. Hey, don't forget me when you blow up. We got the blow up mentality. It's all or nothing. But really, success, we just talked about this for the last couple hours. It's tiny tweaks. It's the first half of it is what you stop doing. I'm gonna stop doing this today. I'm gonna stop doing this. If you guys, if a lot of people say they want to lose weight or they want to get in better shape, if you just remove one thing from your diet, one thing, stop eating bread. See what happens. It's tiny tweaks. Now, the beautiful thing about being a human over all other animal species is this. This is what I love about being a human. You take a tiger. When that tiger's born, the tiger's gonna die a tiger, doing tiger shit his whole life. Us humans, the beauty about us being humans, I can be at McDonald's today and in tech tomorrow, and a CEO of a company the next day, and a nurse the day after that. We can switch. We can switch roles, we can switch occupations, we can switch religions, spouses, partners. Some people switching genders. Humans can switch all kind of shit. No disrespect to them. But where we got it fucked up sometimes is not the idea of wanting to switch, it's the how. Mm-hmm. And it's the tiny tweak principle. You don't have to do nothing dramatic. A lot of times, from an entrepreneur's perspective, if you want to be an entrepreneur, don't quit your job. Stop spending so much as an employee, so where you have a little reserve that you can now invest in your business, and try to sell some shit. And if it flops, guess what? You can still pay your rent. Your kids still got food. So then you can continue to tiny tweak your principles until you start generating revenue and be like, oh, okay, cool. Now I'm making $100 a month on my business. Now I'm making $200 a month. Now, when you get to the point to where you're making the same amount or close to the same amount that you're making at your job, man, you can make that choice. But stop trying to just jump off cliffs. I've done that before. Jump straight off a cliff. I quit.
What about Steve Harvey? Said jump off a cliff?
Man, no, bruh. That's some bullshit. It's bullshit. No. Like, don't stop jumping, because it's a dramatic story and it sounds good. It sounds good. And it happens a lot. But at the end of the day, what ends up happening is, and he's gonna teach you this later, is you can go from excited to scarcity to tunneling in a matter of seconds, and now you can't even pull your head out of your ass. And you sitting there and you can't even brainstorm good business ideas because you're struggling. How I'm gonna pay this? And oh my God, no. Tiny tweak. So my first business, this is where I learned lessons. My first business, jump smooth off the cliff. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna make it. I bumped my head so hard, so many times. Second business, I did that. I'm gonna go get a job in the area that I want to start my business in. First, I'm an intern for free just to get some game. I interned for a year for free in the business I wanted to be in. Then I took a job getting paid shit money to learn more till I gathered enough tools and game and start my company. Then I started it on the side. Got caught a couple times, walked in, saw me working on my shit. I tried to flip the screen over. Oh, shit. But once I built enough traction and momentum in my business, it gave me the confidence to be like, all right, cool, I'm out. So like, we don't need the dramatic story. Stop jumping off of cliffs. Tiny tweaks.
Real quick, I'm gonna add something to this too. This formula, I'm gonna talk about it later on in the class. This is the formula of community change. A lot of times when we want to do community change, we think we're going to change everything in one move, one swipe. If you learn to look at things through increments, 5 years, 2% is 10% change. 10% based upon the number can be millions of lives, right? We got to start thinking about smaller numbers. So if let's say we want to bring down the homicide amongst African Americans. We're 12% of the American population, but we're 55% of the homicides in America. Instead of us trying to get to 5 in 1 year and becoming disappointed, thinking it's not working, a lot of times when you're building any organization that's going to solve any major problem, you want to see things in increments, not huge revolution. So it's evolution, not revolution. Learning to see everything through evolution. I'm going to teach evolution principles in this class in July. But evolution principles will allow you to not become discouraged and think you're not performing, and learn how to measure your performance, and also how to receive feedback through looking at numbers. And so a lot of times when you first start a business, you want to go from 0 to you flossing and life is easy, but you don't realize you're actually on a path of progress. That's why I was talking about Lily when she was like, oh, I haven't made any progress. It's like, no, you did. You're just trying, you're looking at the finish line. You don't see all the progress you made. Right? It's like, if you ever went hiking before and you walking, and you just haven't focus on your walking, and you find this stop and look back, you're like, I was way back there, right? But if you're walking backwards the whole time, you may become exhausted halfway through the journey because you're watching every step of where you're going. That's why I said look up. And so everything happens in increments. Things happen in increments more than just a hard flip. Hard flips are usually not such a nice thing. They're not a nice thing. Like, yeah, has there been people who have fell the cliff and flew? Yeah, because they got fired and they had no other choice. Their backs was against the wall, right? But they didn't. And then a lot of people who felt that same cliff are homeless right now, or they're still bouncing along the bottom. And so this whole distortion of, oh, I'm gonna jump off the cliff and then eventually before I get to the ground, I'll open my wings and fly. It implies that it's just all about your effort. And really, success is okay. Can you reach a lot of money without intelligence? Of course you can. Can you sustain it? No, you can't. This is why you hear all these stories of success, failure, or businesses popping, they're gone before the decade's over. It's because they didn't develop the mindset to own it. They went through a hype cycle, which is they had this peak moment, they have a harsh crash when the business actually starts, but they don't really have the intelligence to climb that slow hill and then maintain growth and sustainability. Because even if you have a great business idea, you take off, let's say anybody in this room has a brilliant idea and you take off, your brain has a tendency to tunnel and think you're the only one on this journey because you're at the front of the race. You don't realize that somebody is graduating right now out of college and high school that's coming for you. And while you hot to your generation right now, your generation has a attention problem. So their attention is going to shift. And if you didn't shift with their attention problem, now you're deteriorating. This new generation came on and they captured the attention of their generation, and now you got old school business. Now you cross colors. You remember cross colors? They used to be right over here. They was popping off. They gone. They gone for a reason. And when you talk to the owner of Cross Colors, he has a romanticism of like that time's gonna come back. It's gone, bro. It's not coming back. You have to be able to ride the necessary trends and be able to have the mindset of what that is and how to attach to those trends and how to serve those trends and how to run a successful business to achieve that goal. Court at some point won't be able to design clothes for a certain group of people. Versace can't design, if he was alive, I don't think he's alive, but Versace is alive, he can't design clothes for certain people. But he hires people that can. He runs a business that's always adjusting to the markets. So learning to think through increments is bigger than just you jumping off the cliff. It's a principle that's going to resurface over and over and over and over. Man, you have a child that's doing bad, see it through increments. Otherwise, you'll beat yourself to death. You have a relationship you're struggling with, see it through increments. This is just not changing. It's not changing at all, surely. It works through increments.
Question online. Colette says, this is about gradually starting your business. She says, making the same amount as your job requires a lot of time and energy to focus on that business. What if that job takes up majority of your mental bandwidth? How do you care for your family, yourself, the job, and your side business?
Okay, first of all, sorry. I always get the wrong answer. Listen, what you had to do, player? No, let me get back because you almost messed me up with that last part.
I was like,
okay.
here we go.
No, I ain't gonna do it. Okay. Okay. My humor is so silly because I want to tell jokes. So I'm trying to push the jokes out the way so I can get back to being serious. First thing is first is that let me be 100% transparent. If your job is taking a majority of your time, you got to ask your question. You got to ask your question about yourself. Most jobs don't really take up majority of your time. You don't have to be 100% honest, right? If they're emotionally taking up most of your time, then there's some mental distortions happening, which I don't know. It would require Colette to be here for us to go back and forth, for me to kind of help her discover what that is. That she's overvaluing something. Remember, problem, emotion, but there's really problem, thought. So she has some thoughts in there that's creating emotional distortion, right? Even if she say I'm working 17 hours a day, legally where? Right? Legally where are you working that many hours? And how have they sold that lie to you? And what happens if you just work your 8? What happens if you really there for 8 and you really worked 5? Right? What happens if you get there, like, are you really like,
Yeah,
are you one of those type of jobs where you got to be like, what's going on? I see all of you, right? Then that's different, right? But then maybe that's not the job you're supposed to have. A lot of times if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to position yourself to make that next move. But you can't be, if your job is to watch kids jumping off a diving board all day long for 8 hours, where you can't afford to turn your attention, you gotta get you another job, right? Also, there's a little undertone of victim in there. You control all this shit. You control all this shit. Make the move. Change the job. Change your position. Change whatever you gotta change to get where you need to get to go to the next level. But don't ever buy, because once you buy the victimization, you give up all your power to change your own life. That's why I hate all that victim tone shit suggests that something is stopping me. Nothing stops you. Like, it's different if you say, my job, my mother has 2 years to live, but we in the last 6 months and I'm locked down. That's different. That's the time you spend with your mom. I work at Google and they don't give me, man, Google's a big ass company. Get another position. Go find that position where nobody hardly works. I'm not bullshitting you. I'm not bullshitting you on nothing I own. So, but the victim tone is, because when you say victim, your brain don't even think about options anymore. Your brain is just trying to protect itself. When your brain's in protection mode, there's no creativity and innovation mode. Like, you gotta be able to realize, fuck that job. Love yourself. Come up with a plan, make the move, and don't give no excuses. No excuses. There's no superpower out here stopping you. Like, because, you ever been in a black community? White folks don't want us. I'm like, yo, where's the mothership at? They ain't, because I ain't seen none of these motherfuckers in East Oakland, so they got to be hovering above us, right? No, it's they're hovering in our brains. Oppression only works because we believe in it. If black people tomorrow say we don't believe in oppression and start slowly through increments building a different reality, our great-great-grandchildren may never know what slavery or oppression feels like. But it has to start in. That's why I'm not worried if I don't get the job done in my lifetime, because I'm working in increments, right? But oppression only works if you accept it. All forms of oppression, job, relationships, society, fuck anything.
Hey, I want to just piggyback on that because I was eloquent. You got to take your freedom. You got to take your freedom. So you got to ask yourself, are you a slave or a free person? That's it. And if you're free, then you're going to take it. You're going to find a way. Now, everybody has different situations, limitations, mental models, children, not children, baby mamas, baby daddies, all kind of shit. All of that stuff becomes irrelevant once you decide you want to be free. You're going to figure it out. You're going to figure it out, period. Like, I don't care what it is, you're going to figure it out. So double back on the point is your job, most people work that 8-hour day, they only doing 4 hours of work anyway on average. Now, if you good, you can find a way to nibble that down to 3. If you can't, then you ask your supervisor, you go apply for a lower position, because it's a fuck that job situation anyway. This is temporary. If you can't, then go find another job. If you want to really entrepreneur for real, you're in the process of reducing all your expenses right now anyway, so you can live on less money anyway. So at minimum, you can take some bullshit job just to keep you floating while you working on your entrepreneurship idea or goal. So you find a way. It's possible. So, but you got to take it. You got to take it. There's a book that I read a long time ago about this rich man's son. The rich man's son, the dad was like, hey, if you want my wealth, you got to go out and you got to go flip the money I gave you, and you come back with it doubled, I give you all my riches. And he was like, easy. So the kid went out and dad gave him a caravan and everything, set him up. He got like a quarter to the mission and lost everything. He got, gave it up, lost it. So by the time he got halfway through, he didn't have nothing because he got manipulated, bamboozled, pimped, everything. So now he started trying to rob people like he got robbed and got caught because he was a square. Next thing you know, he's a slave. And so he's saying, no, everybody, I'm not a slave. My dad is rich. I got money at home. And they're like, yeah, right. Yeah, right. So he ends up talking to his new slave owner saying, I'm not really a slave. I'm not really a slave. And she said, well, how come you've been sitting here this whole time then? How come you been with me this whole time? How come you ain't ran off? Because a free person wouldn't be here. Like, how committed are you to be free? It's for me, freedom or death. It's freedom or death. So any job I get or have to get, I'm already plotting. It's temporary. If I have to humble myself to go get a job to take care of I'm plotting. It's temporary. What's my next move to get my freedom? Because I'm not staying here. So you have to click into that mentality. How committed are you to this?
And he says, as he talks, very aggressive. In July, you're gonna have to learn how to hold 2 opposite ideas in your brain at the same time. 2 contradicting ideas have to exist in your brain at the same time. He's very aggressive, but he's very serving and very loving at the same time. Sometimes we think aggressive, so we just start telling everybody, man, fuck you then. I don't need you, whatever. Cut me, whatever. I don't need you. Okay, no, it's not what it's about. You got to be able to being free doesn't detach you from people. Being free doesn't mean you don't have to follow. Being a leader doesn't mean that you don't serve. You got to be both. Mm-hmm. You got to know how to give it away, and you got to know how to guard it at the same time. Like, it's a combination. Like, I'm going to teach you a lot of ideas that are going to be opposite. Both opposites are going to be true. A lot of times we say, is it either this or is it that? I'm going to show you a flaw in that thinking later on. Mm-hmm. You got to be able to hold both of them, because based upon the circumstances, I was listening to Sadhguru the other day, same dude, and he was like, somebody asked him, what's the difference between Christ and Krishna? He said, oh, there's no difference. He said, but one said this and one said the opposite. He said, yeah, because they had different circumstances. One was a king and one was a servant. Right? So they have different ways they have to show up to the world they got to deal with. How you show up to the world right now, where you are in your job, is one way. When you become a certain level of leader, it's going to change. Somebody came to my house the other day, asked me a vast question. What do I think about Elon Musk? Vast, irrelevant. First thing I said to them was, I'm not a billionaire, so what the fuck to tell you? I don't have billionaire problems. I don't have billionaire enemies. I don't have billionaire challenges. So I ain't gonna take my million in a billionaire conversation it's like you got $1, somebody has 1,000. I ain't gonna take my $1 ass and try to tell you what that man gonna do with his $1,000. It don't make no goddamn sense for me to even try to answer this question. I'm irrelevant to the conversation. Because as I realize, as you grow, he can't be me and I can't be him because we're on a different level of this game. Right? And as you grow, because once again, as you grow, the person, I used to see a lot of cats who are super social justice. And mind you, I'm pro-black, but I hate social justice because that didn't come from the pro-black community. That came from white folks, if y'all want to take some time and sit with it for a minute, right? So, but I'm very pro-black, and I believe in people's rights. From gay to white folks, I believe in folks' rights, right? But social justice, I've seen people start businesses in a social justice space. And they want to start off automatically caring and trying to serve and fix everybody else's problems. And then realize, and then they talk about people above them like, oh, he's all about his money. It's because you ain't got no money yet. And the reason you ain't gonna get no money no time soon, because you keep sabotaging your opportunities because you're too much in this wrong space. When you learn to put the mask on your face first, you can learn to save others. But many of us want to be broke as hell, walking around from town to town, and when we open our mouth and spread fancy words, everybody's going to follow us. If you don't wake the fuck up and see your real value, once again, if you want to be valuable, do valuable stuff. If you don't do valuable stuff, the world will not recognize you as being valuable. And if you want to be valuable to the people you're trying to help, do valuable stuff. The blind has a hard time leading the blind. Even like, okay, so 510 Media, we practice black excellence, but we really practice excellence, but we branded it as black excellence because we want to teach our people that we can be whatever we want to be. And we're really good at what we do. I mean, I love my team. But I want to say, I lost my thought because I was talking about my team and stuff I like. Black excellence. Oh, in order for you to, so we practice excellence, but there's a rule that says you cannot see excellence if you don't practice excellence. Quite often we sabotage our relationships because we get people that are at our own level. And we have a hard time seeing our own flaws. So in order for us to choose better people, we got to grow ourselves to see better people to choose. Try to hire a fancy contractor. You ain't never hired a contractor a day of your life. You don't even know how to fix a house. You hire the person with the most charisma, and you're prepared to spend a lot of money. But if you find somebody who develops house all the time, they can see all through all the lies, all the holes, and all the mistakes and all the challenges. Because they're at a certain level of performance. Now, a weak developer can't see what a high level developer can see. So part of you just even collaborating in smart relationships and being effective requires personal growth so you can see the talent to collaborate with. Otherwise, trash is collaborating with trash. Not trash meaning you overall is trash. You are trash in your skills and you're finding other people who are trash in their skills and you're trying to produce excellence and you wonder why it looks like trash. Then y'all sit in the room talking about, they hating on us and black folks ain't trying to support us and No, you trash. It takes time to become good. For somebody who's been busting his ass and still busts his ass, because when you become good, you don't get to stay good. You got to keep practicing good to be good. And in order for you to be excellent, it's a lifelong commitment to the day you close your eyes for the last time. And so if you want to be able to recognize greatness, you got to be on a path of greatness for yourself. That's why the first 6 months of this class is self-focus before we get into business strategy focus. If I jump straight into business strategy and you trash, you can't even see the value of it anyway. You can't. And when you first start any business, I don't care what business you're starting, you're trash. But guess what? This is why you charge lower prices and you practice to become better. This is why when you finish that day of work, you got to go home and practice. Because if you don't practice, you can get a little bit of momentum because trash can find trash. And trash can accumulate small levels of trash that think they're doing something. But the reason you can't compete with those bigger boys and women in the game is because you don't even know what that feels like because you don't do it for yourself. The path to strength is inner strength, not outer strength. Start looking for outside solutions and things that save you. Is our kids I want to be behind? Is you the only person going to say that to yourself? Don't be saving other people. Don't look for something to save you. You start with you first. That is the path of this entrepreneur game. And the reason we're teaching this is that can you start being an entrepreneur without this process and be trash? Yes, you can. But we've seen too many of our people die in the level of trash. Too many people are trying to celebrate trash. Too many people are trying to rationalize. So many people are trying to take on the philosophy of trash and spread that philosophy to other people to maintain trash. And so then you go to the community and you see all these raggedy businesses, the windows are dirty, the furniture is broken, the service is bad. And it's not that individual fault. They are following a connection of trash standards, not the individuals. So some of y'all social justice people in this class online, loosen up right now, because right now y'all know y'all holding y'all Black Lives Matter signs up. Put that shit down. My point is this. I'm not attacking. I love black people. I think we're the most amazing people in the world. We're under this branding that we can't be. We're under this branding that there's somebody called white folks who are going to open the door and be the gatekeepers. The market says there is no gatekeepers. The only gatekeeper is you. Matter of fact, in business, obstacles are normal. So let's say as a black person, I'm building this dope ass business. If Tennille jumps into my industry, she's trying to take my business. Don't get it wrong. And I know she is, and that's part of the game. If I'm playing football, you're trying to score and I'm trying to score. I'm not going to be like, oh, that's unfair. I didn't want you to score right now. I wasn't even ready. Why are you going to do it when I wasn't ready? Why you got to keep running the score up? That's all messed up. No, in business, meaning we're in competition. We understand that's the game. I don't get to go to the coach and say, yo, coach, she's just too goddamn good. He'll say, Donna, go sit your ass down because you don't know how to play defense. Improve your defense. If I say, yo, man, this dude won't let me shoot at, he won't let me score. Yo, go sit your butt on the bench, improve your offense. But just because you got a basketball in your hands and you got a clean-ass jersey on, you got some clean-ass Jordans on, and you got a clean-ass haircut, and your hands got manicured nails, don't mean you can shoot. Let's keep it 100. Right? But now we're trying to bring social justice going, well, they should let you shoot. They should at least spot you some points, and they should be a mulligan or something. I mean, it's just messed up because in there, you didn't grow up in a neighborhood where everybody played basketball. And even though he practiced all the time, maybe you get tired after work and you just can't go to work practice all the time. If you don't shut the fuck up, can we just cut that out? Can we stop this weak talk? This comes down to, it's a longer journey, and TV sells us these fast, get rich overnight, and makes us even feel worse. Right? It's not real. It's a slow journey, but the good thing about a slow journey is when you get there, you stay longer. And so it's a process of develop self first. So then when I give you these tools, I give you the basketball, you know what to do with it. I'll put you on the court, you know what to do with it. But if I tell you all the techniques of how to run plays, but you can't make a shot, it don't matter. You still can't score. You suck. And the best way to get better fast is to accept your trash. You say, yo, my game's trash. I'm working on my game right now. Why aren't you in the NBA? Dude, have you seen my game? They don't even pick me at Mosswood. What are you talking about? I'm trash.
Hey, yo, I went to my daughter's kindergarten graduation today. I'm like, when did they start giving kindergartners graduation parties? She just started. And it was a big ceremony. It was a big deal. It was a ceremony. And I'm like, damn, it's a trip how, as a society, we've changed to where, any opportunity to water down the tension, the grit, the long game, we just give it, and it's accepted. But you gotta be willing to play this game and play it the way the landscape is laid out. This is the wild out here. This is the wild out here. Let's go to the next one. How much time we got?
This probably be the last one for the night.
A malleable sense of self is a cornerstone of emotional agility.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Keep going.
People who have a
Keep going.
growth mindset.
Yep. Let's go to the next slide. I don't know. Why is that even?
Stress plus nutrients equal growth.
No, keep going.
Keep going.
So she added all the sides. Keep going. Values, keep going. Tiny tweak, keep going. Keep going.
I can see what you
And that's the same slide.
Yeah.
You just read. All right, next one.
Okay.
All right. We'll end it here.
Okay, go ahead.
Seesaw principle. So that's seesaw principle in terms of emotional agility is this. The goal of this is for us to practice being emotionally agile, right? So all these tools we're going through are tools that we want you to add to your toolbox to become more emotional agile. So the seesaw principle is this. Most of us live on two sides of an emotional seesaw. One side is where we're overcompetent in what we do. Maybe your job, you've been working there for a long time. You can do it behind your back. It's easy. It's not that stimulating. You're bored because you're so good at it. And then you go from that to being overwhelmed by some shit. Life is crazy. You got so much to do. And so the seesaw principle is you go back and forth between being overcompetent and overwhelmed. Overcompetent and overwhelmed. So your life feels like a seesaw. When the goal for you is to have both, not either or, to have a harmony of both. You want to be challenged. Shit has to be hard sometimes. Life has to be hard, but you also want to be in your area of genius. Certain areas of genius where you can develop and grow and expand your confidence. But so you never want to be just stuck on either side, because if you're stuck at being overwhelmed, then that's where you start to emotionally break. Depression, overwhelm. You start doing things as a substitute for you emotionally, like bad habits. You start eating too much, or doing drugs, or smoking too much weed, whatever those things are to help offset those emotions, because you're in a state of constant overwhelm. That's not good for the muscle inside your head. It's also not good to be sitting there super bored, feeling like, what the fuck am I doing here in life? So that's why the idea is to hit that next slide. So the curse of comfort. Now, this is what typically happens when you're in a constant state of overcompetence. You get caught with the curse of comfort. You don't want to get out. Life, you created this life, shit's easy for you. Your check comes every 2 weeks. Those bills get paid every 2 weeks. On the weekends, you go to the club, you buy that one drink, you do that one little two-step, you go home, and you start it all over, and you get comfortable. So anybody wants to, you got these dreams of being a big entrepreneur, but you cursed by your own comfort. How dare you pull yourself out of that or risk something, lower my income, change my money, trade my car in for a lower car? Hell no. So the problem is you'll be stuck here forever. And who knows what you could have done.
Hey, real quick, think about this. I want you to keep going. Somebody said they want to be a doctor, right? Somebody came to you right now and say, hey, yo, I want to go to school to be a doctor, but I don't want to compromise nothing. I want to be able to party when I want to party. I want to drive the car I want to drive. I want to study when I feel like studying. You'd be like, dude, you ain't about to be no doctor, but you going to be an entrepreneur like that? I just want you guys to see how high performance, entrepreneur is a very high performance role, right? You're trying to turn paths and you're trying to literally go from this path to another path, but yet you want to go to that path on a bed of roses. Do you realize that the change is supposed to be extremely stressful? And when you make that change, that there's has to be a lifestyle disruption? Like, you guys literally want to just be like Oprah Winfrey's, even Oprah Winfrey's, when she say, we love your book, and you blow up. You should hear the stories of what happened to those individuals. They like a flood, it was a tsunami to their life, and it snatched them and threw them down the road. I can produce this many books, and I had to show up, and all these things started. It was overwhelming. I wasn't even ready for this. It even creates depression for some people. Like, you don't try to be an entrepreneur and try to add a few ingredients. Being an entrepreneur is changing the way you think. And okay, I don't think you guys understand. You was in school to memorize more material to add to the way you think, to enhance the way you think. Then you went to college to add more material to the way you think with slight growth in the way you think, but really to just really become a confirmation bias around the way you think. Many of us are never challenged to change the way we think. I want you to think about, where are you challenged to change the way you think? We're just trying to add more information to validate ourselves or to make our arguments based upon the way we already think. We're trying to come from our mama's womb, who were a household bred the way we think, and then add information to it to articulate it or to sound intelligent or to make arguments, but to sustain the way we think. We rarely attack the way we think. I want you just to really sit with that. Like, most of the stuff you learned in high school, if I gave you that test today, you retain such a small percentage because nobody was helping you change the way you think. They were trying to add information to it. But I promise you, you are a product and you are a living witness of the things that enhance the way you think. See, thinking is, I got this information in front of me, but what do I do with it? How do I access it? And how do I navigate through life and use it in my favor? It's almost like saying, I can give you a recipe, but how do you cook? Thinking is like, how do you cook, not the recipe and ingredients in the room? But many of you think because your cabinets are full, your refrigerator is full, your thinking is different, when no, you're just cooking the same way with more ingredients. You get where I'm going with this? There's a principle of thinking that we've never been introduced to, and we continue to underperform because we're trying to take the lower way that we think and enhance it to produce a higher output when that thinking already has a limitation attached to it. So that's why, like in this class where I'm going to in July, is I'm going after the way you think, not just adding more and more information to the way you think. Otherwise, I can give you a simple dope tool that I can take it and get down with it. I give you that exact same tool, and you're gonna underperform because you're thinking in ways that doesn't really serve that tool and maximize the performance of that tool. It's like I can give you all the martial art weapons in the world, but if somebody hits you in the mouth, you back to the windmill, right? But if somebody who's been learning how to think about fighting totally different, first of all, they may not even get hit in the mouth because they see it coming because they can sense it differently. And if it does come, their response is totally different because the same tools now serve them a whole different value because they think different. So that's the principle behind that.
Okay, so here's the last piece, last thought, is this is a self-test that I want you to give yourself. So write these 2 questions down, and then you can answer them on your own. But this is how you know if you currently are up under the curse of comfort. 2 questions. What have I done lately that scares me? Question number 1. What have I done lately that scares me? Question number 2. When was the last time that I felt vulnerable? Question number 2. Write those down, answer them on your own, and be honest with yourself. What have I done lately that scares me? Not who scared me. That's passive. What have I done lately that scares me? That's aggressive. That's you're taking out the time to go do something that scares you. And if you can't remember the last time on any of those 2 questions, you stuck. Because remember, the fear of success is just as strong as the fear of failure. So if you, like, when you sitting there on your couch and you have the idea wanting to be successful or do something bigger than where you are, it's your fear of success is going to pop in too and come up with all these reasons why it's better for you to be on this couch. So answer these 2 questions, and then we'll come up with ways to go through that when we come back.
Hey, thanks for riding with us tonight. To say, we'll make a quick now. Oh, go ahead, Shabisha. Repeat the second question.
Second question: when was the last time I felt vulnerable?
The bridge closed at 10 o'clock tonight. So those who can help straighten up, please help out because we're gonna try to mash to get up out of here as fast as we can. Because not the bridge, but the tunnel closes at 10 tonight for maintenance. I got an investigator over here. So she done gave me some game and said if you don't get out here by 10 o'clock, you want to have to drive all the way to Park Street to get up out of here. And so we're trying to get out here as fast as possible. Thanks for riding with us. Remember, there's no class next week because we're going to be at Black Wall Street. It's not there no more. It's really a story. Like between me and you, I'm there to see the people. Black Wall Street means zero to me. It's gone. Right? It's stories. I'm not a victim of stories. I believe in optionality. So with that being said, thanks for riding with us. Had a great class tonight. We got
All right,
some
y'all.
sandwiches over there, vegetarian sandwiches. If you didn't grab one, and we got some left. Also, if you ate at your desk, there's some wipes over there. Grab the wipes and wipe your desk down so you don't leave no greasy spots and food spots on your desk. I don't want janitors coming here talking about what the hell is. It's because the cleanup team, the support team, the maintenance team around here, once again, we love them cats. They watch out for us. We want to watch out for them. So with that being said, as they say in Brooklyn, I'll see y'all in a minute. Peace.
All right.